Do you guys do you guys like that opening? Xavier did it for me, and
Yes.
I was kind of digging it because it doesn't drag on like a dog with no legs.
It's very regal because it's like the THX sound coming there. You think something incredible is coming.
Exactly, and then you hear my snorkeling, horrific witch-like laugh. So yeah, it's all good.
And it sure beats pulling clips from old shows set to shitty music.
Exactly.
That drags on for 5 minutes.
Yeah, those Mr. Pibbs openings we used to do.
Or as Bill O'Reilly would say, it's nice and pithy, and let her never speak of this again.
Okay, greetings everyone. Welcome to another edition of Radio Gunk. It is Friday at 8 o'clock. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. And we decided to do a show tonight because I was kind of assuming that Friday Night Football wasn't on due to everybody being fucking sick. And it's probably going to get a lot worse before it gets even better. So what else is there to do on a Friday night after Thanksgiving but to spend a couple of hours, perhaps 3, maybe 4, with us here? So tonight we have, of course, Johnny, who is Dennis Booker tonight. And
I want to apologize, everybody, for if I'm on a tablet this time. I've had huge computer problems. It's been plaguing me for 2 days. If Jeff Schick knew I was on Windows Vista, he'd delete me from his phone.
And then also, a special addition to our show tonight is our friend Biznick, who is rocking that horrific avatar of Monique with curly hair as some weirdo fucking child, which is quite possibly one of my favorite things that he's ever done. So we decided to do a show tonight, and what our highlight for tonight is the A&E biography looks at the life of Howard Stern. So it's something that I've never watched before. I'm sure you guys have. I don't know. Have you?
I've seen it briefly. Yeah, I've seen it.
So I guess I'm the man without any introduction or needing no introduction.
Did I?
You totally missed him. Yeah.
Did I totally bypass you? So there's this guy. So there's this guy. His real name is Dennis, but we call him the Jackie Chair. And basically, if it wasn't for him, we'd actually not even ever listen to the show unless he highlights it out to us and sends us a text and says, "Holy shit, did you hear blah 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 today at blah blah blah?" And both John and I are like, "Yeah, no." Well, no, sorry. I'll reply and say no. John will reply on Wednesday and say, "What are we talking about? I had a problem with my computer yet again." So
I'll go back and look for it.
So that's what we're doing tonight. But to start off with, first off, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I hope it was absolutely uneventful, as it should be. And yeah, you know what? We're coming into a new year, and may we all be thankful that we are here and being and able to laugh and able to do something stupid. Who's shuffling? Who's shuffling dishes like in the background here? Let me guess.
Try take a guess.
Is it John?
I'm sitting at a table stoic with nothing. I can't possibly be.
It literally sounds like you're playing fucking chess against yourself. Like, no joke. Rook to Queen's Knight.
Kingmaker.
All right. So, hi, Bon Jovial. Okay, that was a really super fun show that we did the other week, and laughed our asses off. It was completely stupid. That show, which was kind of highlighting out a week's in review for the world's greatest interviewer, is available on YouTube now because I was actually able to upload that one. Yeah, rarity with all of my scary 625 listeners that I have on there now, which is an incredible fall from 9,300 or whatever I had, almost 10,000 people. But I digress. It's okay. I don't care. I don't care about YouTube anymore. And so we'll just, is this the biography episode where 79 told his whole family and friends not to talk to them? I don't know. So if you're telling us something we don't know, then yeah, maybe that is the case with this.
Yeah, I think it is. Azor said that. By the way, I apologize to the chat. I can't see anything on the tablet. I don't think it comes up. I can make
John, John, you're incredibly loud as well. Like you're almost ear breaking loud. Just so you know, you might want to pipe it down just a snurch. Because
just turn it sideways.
Show is like the first.
Turn it sideways.
Turn it sideways.
How does that help?
How about now?
It makes it wider.
I put it further.
Wait, let me guess. You don't have. Let me guess.
Any microphone? You don't
have headphones. You don't have headphones on, do you? You're just talking into your tablet.
How can I have headphones how can I have headphones in a tablet?
Bluetooth, a plug,
something like that. But
pretty much.
It was too difficult for.
He's having a whole technology week.
He's having technology week.
It's not good.
You're right.
It's not good.
I couldn't. I had to just be thankful I even got on at all.
John, I'll throw in some headphones.
Hello. Wait, hello. It's like he's on ham radio.
See, Beth Biscuit says Arm can't see the chat, but can see his freezer full of ice. Midlife crisis.
Midlife crisis.
Yeah, he's not using his special new mic. No, he is not, Bon Jovial. All right, so. But I got a special request from Mr. Judy Tenuta, who wrote to me today and said, "Hey, by any chance, did you listen to Howard at the end of Wednesday's show, where basically it was Shuli and High Pitch Eric talking about how he was supposed to go see some Debbie the Blowjob lady or some shit like this, and he sent her pictures of his penis and all this, but then it got into like this really weird space where Shuli was upset that High Pitch is no longer following the rules of whack packism, and that he expects that when he calls Eric, that Eric will pick up the phone, and when he tells Eric he needs to be available for a bit, that Eric will be available for the bit. And then Eric goes into a whole thing about how many fucking drugs he's on, which is insane. But their expectation still was, well, fuck you. Don't care if you're on drugs. You should still be on the show.
Jesus.
So, yeah. So I wanted to kind of pick through that a little bit. I only clipped about 6 minutes of it. Yes, 1000% Eric is more popular than Shuli. I think that's actually the case.
That's sad. Really sad.
That is really sad. But Eric probably makes more money than Shuli. Let's think about that for a hot second.
People picking up cans at Port Authority make more money than Shuli. I mean, let's really setting the bar very low here.
Yeah. We're not.
That's all.
Exactly. In Alabama, no less.
Well, if Shuli,
where funny happens,
if Shuli made a portion of every drink sold at his shows, he'd still be broke.
Well, I might have helped him out a little bit that night.
You're a special case there, Todd. So it's not really. This is just. We're talking Alabama now, where a drink with 2 drink minimum, the drinks maybe are like what, $3, $3.50,
$5 out the door,
maybe. Exactly.
It's 2 for 1 old Milwaukee night. It's.
Disgusting. Disgraziad. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'll go into the High Pitch Eric thing, and again, this is by request of Mr. Judy Tenuta, who probably won't even be here, but we'll talk about him for another 10 minutes and hope. Look who's gone.
His neighbors turn on the Wi-Fi. It's over.
Oh no!
Fucking Avatar is killing me. I'm just so fucking dead right now. All right, so let me see if I can.
It's not helping either. I look.
Jesus Christ. Oh, you know what? The show must go on
with a wig on.
Hey, just trying to mix things up. That's all. All right. So, I think we lost Johnny. Of course we did. You know what? A show is not a show without losing John at least once, right?
Yeah, you have to let me know his info, because I will send him a laptop with headphones.
Please, dear God, send it to him. I'll help pay with the postage. Money for postage.
Serious? No, but no. Here's the problem, though. You can't just send him a laptop. What you need to do is you need to put it like in perfect alignment for him. Like you need to, you can't just restore it back to factory for him. You need to make it so that all he has to do is turn it on. You can almost give him like John as the username with the password of like cat1 and just let him log in and then he'd be fine. Oh, hey, John.
I always feel like somebody's talking about me.
Okay, she was talking behind your back in front of your face. It's
I was saying if Biznick actually chose to send you a laptop that was from the 2000s, that what he needs. Oh, Dennis is dying. What he needs to do is he needs to set it up so that you can physically just like log on and be able to do like everything you need to do. So you might want to actually tell him what your parameters are for what you need on your computer, and then he'll send it to you.
No, I was perfect. I was perfect until I had the blue screen of death. I brought in the Rakdar team. Everybody knows our good friend Rakdar. He's one of the original mods, and he was trying to do this reboot with Windows. Very complex. This is Jeff Schick shit, I'm telling you. And I'm lucky to be on. I'm just lucky. I had to script. You know it. I was communicating. You're full of shit. I was communicating with you for 3 days. You know the trials and tribulations I've been going through. I'm a victim. I'm a victim. I am a cyber victim.
You are a classically overmodulated cyber victim. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
He's being cyberbullied.
John,
I'm being cyberbullied.
Bon Jovial said, John, they're laughing at you and I'm not there to defend you. Yeah, we all miss Rakdar, but you know what? Some stupid shenanigans happened and it wasn't really fun or funny. And unfortunately, he chose to leave. So that's the shame of it. Like Rakdar and Benjamin and Tracy and, bonsoir. I don't know what to say.
Bonsoir. That's
Sammy.
French.
Yes. Okay, so let's get our shit on the road here, and I'm going to start with
full disclosure. One last thing. The reason I think I got knocked off is I grazed my browser because I wanted to pull up lyrics for a song for Biznick at the end. I think that's what did it. So I just wanted to.
So now you're supposed to make us. This is supposed to be like a pity graze, is what you're saying?
Yes,
like
a spittle graze.
I think my laptop is acting up now. So.
You know what? Dennis, we're just moving on. Okay,
we're just gonna move on.
We're just gonna move on. At least he's not stuttering, John. The cockroach would walk on the power button.
I think that really. That's right.
All right, so let's listen to a little bit of High Pitch Eric and see how much we can get through. Okay, here we go. Sorry, tell me if you can hear this.
Can you just tell him to participate more in stuff when we try to record stuff with? Because he's been a real dick lately with just giving us,
that's serious, surely.
Not showing up for stuff that we canceling at the last minute. I personally think since the knee surgery, he's been going a little heavy on the pain meds because this is not how he normally is. Yeah,
Eric, is that true?
Howard, listen, I've been napping every day after breakfast till about dinner time.
Napping.
Because I'm on heavily pain meds.
Okay, right. Yes, he's napping after breakfast until dinner time.
Beefus doesn't even nap that long.
Exactly. Well, apparently he's on a shit ton of drugs, but also what we found out in this little interview that they had with him is that he has 2 cars that he parks on the street in Manhattan, and he has his home healthcare helper move his fucking cars from one side of the street to the other. And I said car '*S, cars. Eric has cars. Okay.
I need to book an appointment to consult with him on how to, just get ahead in life. Good Lord.
I honest to God.
Seriously, how does he? What's he doing?
Cameo.com. That's all I can say.
Well, look for me tomorrow.
I do physical therapy twice a week, and I'm tired, and I feel like I'm getting old, and I can't help it.
You better listen to me.
What are you taking?
I'm on tons of medication, and I take like a Percocet a day. I take 3 Tylenols, and I had to take my afternoon nap, like from 11 to like 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
Howard, can I jump in a second?
5 hours
I had
a
knee
day.
surgery. First of all, I didn't even take the heavy meds they gave me, but the meds are only supposed to last for like 10 days. Didn't you have your surgery like 3 months ago? Why are you still on Percocet?
Oh, Gary, you're so concerned.
Yeah, right.
Oh, Gary.
When I run out, so I just got a new prescription.
But you shouldn't be on it for 3 months.
Because my knee is going to be numb for about a year.
So you're going to be on Percocet for a year?
So basically, he's addicted to Percocet.
Yeah, pretty much.
Good.
So
That's
Gary,
why
you and
he's
him.
asleep. Now you're hearing
Yeah.
it. And that's a combination of meds that knock you out.
So Eric's basically sleeping from 11 o'clock in the morning till 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
And then
That's what Howard does.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, honestly, but what's so funny is that, that the feigning of concern about this.
Oh, they're all so concerned. Yes,
leech on society. I mean, good God. I mean,
why doesn't Eric use their own terminology and say I'm transcendental meditating? Right? Wouldn't that solve everything?
Well,
I'm TMing.
He's TMing. Okay.
What he needs to do is take a picture of a. He needs to take a picture of a cat on his chest, and then it's meditation. So.
Afternoon nap is 5 hours.
Yeah.
Well, Howard, so
dinner.
I try to call him after the show to do interviews with him. He goes, "I'm taking a nap. I'll get up around 6." So I'm like, "It's 11 o'clock. Like that's not a nap. You're going to bed." And then he gets up at 6, and I call him. I said, "Let's talk at 6, 6:30, 7." "Oh, I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed at about 8, and then I get up around 4." I try to get him to call into the show sometimes when there's something topical. He's asleep. He's always sleeping. Always.
Surely, are we supposed to feel sorry for you, barnacling yourself onto whack packers to give you sole purpose to be on this show, and when they don't beckon to your every call, your whole purpose dissolves? Are we supposed to feel
That's
sorry
exactly
for
what? Yes.
I mean, Shuli's trying to act like a freaking phone salesman that can't get a hold of a client. I mean, this is a barnacle you're trying to get a hold of to fill airtime for a billionaire.
His whole purpose in life is exploiting mentally ill and retarded people, and he wants your sympathy.
Hang on, go Todd.
No. I think it also may be a fair point. It's like Shuli's not, since he's moved and got so much shit since he's moved, he's not producing enough content, and now when he's getting blown off. Now he's getting taken to task. So now he's kind of on the hot seat, like, well, why do we need you? Kind of thing.
That's the tone of voice he had. That's the intonation in his voice. You could hear he's panicked.
Kind of thing. Yeah, it's not my fault. He won't do anything, and so that's my. Yeah,
but doesn't he have 7 other incredibly smelly, obese miscreants who live in trailer parks that he could go to at any given time?
Well, the thing is, it doesn't seem like Jeff the Drunk is talking to anybody there. I haven't heard him in a while.
Yeah,
I don't know if Underdog is really dealing with him anymore, because the clips we heard were over a year old.
Right.
Tam Mom actually, I guess, is doing things, so she doesn't have time to talk.
She's been sick though too. She's been in and out of the hospital. Like she's been a little fucked up. Yeah. So I mean, he's running out of fucking barnacles to leech himself onto at this point.
Yeah.
So his worth is becoming less and less.
Relevant.
Much to start with.
Exactly. We're really grasping at a fucking buffalo carcass here.
To what extent do you think Shirley's writing one-liners for Howard? Because he thinks that's his MO. He thinks that's his MO.
No, not at all.
We don't have proof. They all have monitors. We don't have proof. I don't know what he's offering up, but I would think he thinks that's going to be his job, or he's at least part of this.
Oh, I don't think so at all.
No,
I think that he doesn't. He knows. Yeah, exactly. He knows that that's not his MO.
But could you imagine? Could you imagine writing one-liners for this Howard? And the shit payoff in every line with that stilted NPR delivery and the Darth Kermit, it'd be like throwing a
gabapentin. Percocet is a fucking straight.
Let me go on. Hang on,
Eric. You have so much to live for. You got a blowjob coming up for New Year's Eve. What's the matter with you?
So much
to live for. I need you to survive. You're one of my worst, callers.
That's worst caller. I thought Jeff the Drunk was your worst caller.
No, you're one of my best.
He needs you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, it hurts mainly at nighttime because I do so much during the day.
What the fuck does he
You're
do?
sleeping.
Howard, I can tell you, he's all over the place. First of all, he's making shit up because, first of all, the medication he should be on. The medication he should be on for if he's having the nerve issues is called gabapentin. Percocet is a fucking straight up narcotic painkiller. That's a narcotic painkiller, and he shouldn't be on that for any longer than, I don't know,
3 months he's been on it.
Yeah,
Monique,
makes no sense.
Yeah.
Remember we had Tommy from Malvin on?
Oh, we're
And
going
I
to
said
discuss
to
it. Wait, can you wait? And we're going to discuss him in a moment because.
I was going to tie it to high pitch. All right, never mind. You talking about that? You talking about Trump, right? I'm talking about.
Yes.
I'm talking about. Okay, I was talking about high pitch.
Yeah, we'll come back to it. Let's finish this and then we'll come back.
Well, I'm on gabapentin, Percocet, and also the cyclobenzidine, my Tylenol.
Tramadol?
He's taking everything, Howard.
Can you imagine?
I'm on Soma.
I'm a Percocet. Gabba, 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 do.
Gabba
Gabba, gabba, hey, gabba, hi. Gabba, hiney, ho, dizzing.
He's so stupid.
No, but I'll tell you
Yeah, I don't want to hang up on him, but hold on.
after physical therapy, that's when I take my Percocet.
You only have physical therapy how many days a week?
Twice a week.
So you told us you take Percocet every day.
Twice a day.
All right,
Like twice.
Eric, all I'm saying is, Eric, I don't have all day for this, but I'm telling
Yes, you
you,
do.
you better be
Yeah, really.
your stomach.
This was like a solid 35, 40 minute.
If you take all this shit all day, you're going to go to sleep and not wake up. You better check with a doctor and figure out what you really need, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, sure.
You're messing with something here. You're sleeping too much. Something's
What are you
going
going to do in
on
LA?
here.
You're just going to sleep every day in LA? Like, how are you going to LA right now? You can't even stay awake.
Howard, you're going to have another Artie on your hands. You better call him back. Here it comes. Get an OD and Percocet.
That might be the only place he is safe in LA, you know? Plenty of people in that same boat.
Yeah, I don't really give a fuck what happens to High Pitch Eric, not gonna lie. Like I don't care about him even slightly. So whatever.
I think Judy Tenuta is the gist of this is he hears the panic in Shuli's voice. I think that's what he's going for. I can't speak for him, but I think that's what he hears. Shuli, the days are clicking away and the year's almost over, and he doesn't think he's coming back. That's what his voice sounds like.
It's like Shuli's in that last year, the free agent contract, trying to get anything out of his
Yes.
Yes.
So maybe he can latch on to maybe Brent or something.
Oh, yeah, that's going really well.
Monique, do we have room for him on staff?
I think so. If he works for plugs, yeah, I think we're good.
Well, let's
how about the Shuli and Grace show on the network?
Oh, nice.
Fucked up.
the Shuli Hydrox show.
McDowell's.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, fuck that. Fuck it. We don't care. Yeah, so okay, so that was that. So Mr. Judy Tenuta, we did that for you, and he was just really upset that once again Shuli, suffering for his fucking craft and trying to get every morsel out of his fucking whack pack coterie, and so he he's really upset that how dare Eric not be there when he needs him at the drop of a dime.
Molly Ringworm. Yeah. Roaches like High Pitch Eric always stick around longer than expected. I know, Molly. Kobe Bryant. If somebody told you that Kobe Bryant would die and High Pitch Eric would live in the last year, the healthiest, most well-adjusted besides the rape in Denver, athlete in history.
Oh yeah, outside of that,
everybody.
Why am I laughing at rape?
Man's got needs.
That's okay.
High Pitch Eric at this point should be intubated. Like, there's no reason that him with his co-obese morbidities should not be in the fucking hospital, like, dying at this point. It's only the good die young. This fucker is going to live forever.
Yes, Billy Joel. Billy Joel's brilliant.
Why does he still have both of his feet too?
It's both his feet. Well, we asked that about Jan Hine all the time, also. So I mean,
well, we had a thing on here. I think we were all present for that, including Bisnick. If you did one of those step tests, they had the step thing you put on and walk around. I think High Pitch Eric would actually beat Howard in the course of a week.
Oh, you
in terms of total steps? Yeah, totally.
No way.
Peloton doesn't count. Walking, just strictly walk. I guarantee you, High Pitch
doesn't walk though. High Pitch doesn't walk.
Neither does Howard.
Howard's house is 15,000 square feet. I mean, he can at least walk 1,500 steps in a day. I mean, come on.
He gets moved around in a velvet pillow by SEAL Team Sex. He has an elevator. He has a pelipad right next to his fucking house.
No, he
doesn't move. He doesn't even. He gets dropped off at the studio. That little hallway walk's probably the only steps he takes during the course of the
Yeah, but High Pitch literally, I think, needs like 2 canes. Like, he has a walker, the one that has the little tennis balls on the front of it. Like, he can't move. And even though he had that fat reduction surgery, he gained it all back. Of course he did.
I think crazy cabbie's walking around more than Howard now.
His stomach rejected the fucking operation. You know what? He's just a vile human being who happens to make over $150,000 a year in Cameo. So yeah, he's got the last laugh. Seriously,
he has 2 cars.
Molly, 2 cars. Molly, I bet High Pitch is bed. Yeah, you're so right. I agree with you, but you know what? He doesn't deserve any more of our sympathy. I mean, not that we ever gave it to him, because I fucking can't stand him, but he doesn't deserve any sympathy from anyone. But he's just being used as all whack packers, and that's why we never really talk about whack packers on here, because they are the lowest detritus of that fucking show. They are their common denominator is that they're just disgusting, vile human beings.
And it's even worse now, because in the old days they were kind of an oddity to add to the show as something kind of weird. Now they're a focal point for hours and hours and hours on end, and it really is. In small doses they're entertaining. In large doses they're just vile.
Well said, then.
And the only thing is, you got to give him a tiny bit of credit for being able to monetize and get to where he's gotten with, and then being able to blow off Shuli and his Wrangler.
Well, it's what Todd. It's what Monique probably said this a few weeks ago. I think you're more lucrative being a whack packer in this world than being on Howard's staff, because he won't let his staff. They're not allowed to do podcasts. Yeah, they're not allowed to do comedy shows, and the whack packer actually has autonomy in a way to use his name. Mm-hmm. He can't really stop it, because he's not under. They're not under the employ. No. Monique, by the way, did you say detritus before?
Yeah,
yes, she did.
Brian Williams, the Trump administration under a detritus of miscreants.
I don't get it, but okay.
And did I use it improperly? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it was fine. I'm sure it was perfect. I have no doubt.
WVU Seahawks fan says, wasn't High Pitch Eric left out of his mom's will because he's so fucking evil? He mentioned that once on the show.
Yeah.
And pretended not to know why.
Didn't he get back into it? Didn't he have a lawyer fight him to get back? That he ended up getting back into it.
Did.
I don't remember anything about
it. I know they were contesting. I don't know if he was victorious, but they did contest it.
Wasn't he acting all sad and crying as he loved his mom, but he just wanted a piece of that trust fund or whatever?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's not as dumb as.
He's not.
Well,
that's not his real voice. It's not his real voice, and
that's where I was going with Tommy, guys. Yeah. That's where I was going with Tommy from Alden.
Talk about Tommy. Yeah, go ahead.
No, all I was going to say is when we had Tommy from Alden on twice, and I asked him, "Is High Pitch Eric stupid like a fox, where he's sort of vacillating between retarded and normality depending on his audience? He tries to read the room, and I can exploit this person. I'll act like a retard here and ask for money. This person's going to see through me." So he turns on and off the sort of retard gene in order to exploit whoever is in his presence at the time, and he has mastered that. I guess I'm sure he's been doing it his whole life. So he could try to read some. Yeah,
he's a shyster. I mean, he is absolutely 100% that human being that is able to find a way to rip off people. You don't have to be super smart to do that. Look at Beef. I mean, Beef isn't that super smart.
Exactly. But isn't that really the basis of this whole show? Who's not a shyster con man? Who is truth? It is the least honest show on the planet. The whole show is about huckstering and shuck and jiving and con man and not telling the truth. There's nothing honest about the show. Your newswoman's not in the room. You're lying about Robin. You're like your voice isn't fake. Your Adam's apple's fake. Your hair is fake. Your eyes are fake. There's nothing real. Teeth are fake, right? Right.
Yeah, I mean everything, and his
wife is fake.
His wife is fake. I mean everything about this show just screams phony. And High Pitch is the perfect poster boy for what is so wrong with this show, because they actually spent 45 minutes talking about this absolute waste of oxygen.
Right.
Yeah, little Doodle and 924. Wiggy is a magnet for grifters. Absolutely. He's a magnet for all the worst things in life. Mm-hmm. All the worst things you could be. All the sociopathic, horrible human being traits that you despise in someone. We're lucky to have, and this is just not some jerk off pat on the back or circle jerk, as it were. We have found my favorite people in the Stern community are on our site. And I'm amazed when we talk to each other, meet each other, people are well adjusted and they're good, because there are some of the scum of the earth attached to this show. And Todd, you've been to some of these events, right? You get there and you feel like you need like 5 showers when you get home. And you see some of the people.
Yeah, that's a fair statement.
That's what it attracts. That's what he attracts. And I'm proud to know each and every one of you in the chat on this, because you are the best of the best in this Stern world, because it is either this or it's High Pitch Eric or Double A.
Well, what's sad about this is that he had every one of us fooled about, and he was the anti-hero and whatever. But then as he transitioned, that word maybe.
that's right too. That's accurate.
Into this politically correct woke or whatever you want to call it, and he just did it so poorly. Like he could still be fooling all of us, and he just did it so poorly. It's just now we're embarrassed and offended. So it's just gotten
embarrassed and offended.
If you harken back to, there was a Jackie quote when he first joined the show, and he wasn't, even when he started this, he didn't have a real persona. Like Jackie I had a conversation with Fred with something like, he doesn't like sports, he doesn't like music, he doesn't like, what is this guy? What couldn't we? And they were trying to craft a persona. And they called in Dee Snider and had to give him this fucking horrible, glam rocker wardrobe in the 80s. Because he had, he's not a tabula rasa. That would imply that you're kind of willing to grow and you're. Detrius. It's not some detrius tabula rasa we're dealing with here.
Wow.
You know what's so funny though is he went. It's so funny. He went from a glam rocker's wardrobe to skater boy. I mean,
yeah.
He went backwards. He went backwards in time.
So glam rocker to skater boy to street hustler. Got
Street hustler.
Well, as soon as the grunge rock era took over, he was going to go from like Don Dokken to Eddie Vedder, and we kind of went along and bought it. I'm like, oh, this is how this guy really dresses. How many people? And at that time, he's whatever. He's like in his mid 40s. Like, he's dressing. You never. Who would get? And now he's 66. Dressing like Tony Hawk. And you go, yeah, that's normal. 67.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% with a poodle on his head
and a Sean John tank top.
All right, we're gonna get to our biography. He looks at the life of Howard Stern, Radio Rebel. Remember? Yeah, exactly.
So long.
See you next week, everybody.
Okay, yeah. So just a little FYI, I'm gonna do I'm gonna do a show, I think, a la Opie, because I'm pretty sure I can do it like 1,000 times better.
Yelling out your window so no one can hear it. Oh,
yes, exactly. So the way he does like his
the beach
show Under the Bridge, So
on the beach.
Sorry,
yeah, I'm going to
Carl-
do something similar to that for like a half hour daily, just to kind of chat with people and talk about anything that anybody wants to talk
Are you going
about.
to talk to people on the street or actually talk to?
I don't know people on the street. There's COVID. I don't talk to people on the street.
That's
Well,
only
you
a
shouldn't talk
shame
to people on the
because
street anyway.
I talk to myself. That's all I do.
Monique, from what I understand, you live dangerously close to Marcy Turk's apartment. I think you should float around there and just see what happens.
I live like 4 blocks from Marcy. I've never seen her in the street or I haven't actually noticed her, but yeah, so and nor do I know. I mean, most of them at this point, weirdly enough, have moved out of Manhattan. So I have no idea where most of these people are now. Haven't they all like kind of moved out of New York City at this point?
Yeah, pretty much.
I think half and half. I bet you she's still there.
I'm not sure. I mean, John Hine moved to the city after he sold his house, and I think the rest of them kind of moved out because they couldn't afford it anymore. I'm just not. No, I do not sound like Howard now, Monique. I don't talk to people on the street.
Yeah.
I'm just saying during the time of COVID, it's not exactly as if you're walking up to anybody and talking to anyone.
Yeah, well, it depends where Ben Bardo wants to live. He's the legitimate man in the house. So,
Katie, yes, I'm going to do a show about my favorite things like Oprah. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I just have to figure out what it's going to be. All right, so without further ado, I would like to start our little
Molly Ringworm. Put that up.
Wait, hold on. This one? Turk's apartment.
You walk in and it's like sideways, like
yeah, now I'm doing an Oprah show where I'm giving away free shit every day. Okay,
you get a Boda box.
Without further ado, all right. So, Biography looks at Howard Stern. That's where we're going with this whole shit show today.
Oh,
okay. And let's see what it's about. If anybody wants me to stop, and since I'm on the actual video itself, if there's comments that you want me to read or you want me to put up on the thing, just holler at me, okay? Because I'm not on the I'm not following everybody on there. All right, here we go.
I can't hear anything.
There it is.
You don't hear anything?
I hear nothing. Nothing.
Mm-mm.
Howard's gone from Bert. Yeah, I wouldn't hear anything. We see it.
All we do is see it. We don't hear anything.
It was Luke Perry, and then.
Oh,
Jesus,
do a call.
That's odd, though. I mean, usually this.
All right, here we go. Tell me now. Huh. Tell me now. Hang on. Here we go. Let me put the volume up. Okay.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Wait, what?
Can't hear nothing.
Howard did Bert Convy hair, and now it's Ed Koch.
the Bert Convy.
Ben Stern and Ed Koch, exactly the same.
Tattletale.
Wait, you really don't hear anything?
We hear nothing. We're going to make that up.
Nothing. You hear nothing. Oh, I hear nothing.
What's this?
How can that possibly be?
Oh, definitely.
All right, let me see if I put it this way.
Monique, you work on that, and guys, we'll riff.
We're grooving.
You know who's vindicated?
Sometimes it's.
You know who's
sometimes I tell
now?
Gary and Jason, no guests this week. I'm going to groove. I'm going to groove.
All right, you'll just holler when you hear something.
Nope, nothing.
It's a little better. I hear a little.
You gotta turn up the input there. But poor Bon Jovial is now getting vindicated.
All right. Oh, this Judith Regan.
I can't hear anything. No.
Judith Regan. Engage me, Monique. If I see you on the street, I want you to engage me.
I don't know
repartee.
Your volume from your make sure YouTube isn't silenced because you can silence the visual.
Silenced. I don't have YouTube silenced. Let me try this. Let me try another link. All right, hang on. Let's see how this works. Give me a second. Motherless fucktards. All right, here we go. Share audio. Share. All right, tell me if you hear this one.
There we go.
Good. Is that John Candy?
Yeah, John Candy.
Studios in New York with Peter Graves.
What was the last year? Peter Graves. That's a perfect.
Oh
He
my
has been
God.
called an arrogant, obnoxious loudmouth, a shameless, self-promoting huckster.
Oh!
To his fans, he's a genius with his finger on the pulse of the nation.
Huckster.
Perhaps no radio personality.
So this is the one from Mission Impossible, which I used to always get confused with Leslie Nielsen from Airplane.
Well, no, they were both in Airplane. And he's the one that had the great line, "Hey, Billy, you ever seen a grown man naked?"
Yeah, ever hang around gymnasiums?
You like watching gladiator movies?
Have you ever been to a Turkish prison?
I forgot Kareem was in that when the little kid comes up and goes, my old man says you don't hustle or rebound anymore.
You know what it's like, kid, to have to drag Bill Walton up and down the court?
Yeah, right. He says Bob Lanier and Bill Walton.
Wow. Can we just digress just a tit hair more?
We're going to do it anyway.
On the air today quite fits the term shock jock as well as Howard Stern does. And his outrageous behavior has taken him to the top. This self-dubbed king of all.
He breathes a lot, this guy. And also, was he always old? Don't you feel like this guy was always
white hair?
Yep.
When he was
55 years old.
He looked 58.
Yep.
Exactly.
All media has found success in every entertainment market.
I don't play video games.
Radio, television, and most recently, Stern captured the nation's bestseller lists with his #1 book, Miss America.
What a rocker.
Howard Stern is God.
Oh, Melrose, go fuck yourself.
God has blessed me with a fabulous sense.
Look at the Bert Convey aviators.
The Foster Grants.
Bert Convey.
That's the heart of it.
I think it's a riot. There are so many lawyers in this country.
There's some good cameos in this one, if I'm not mistaken.
Dream up lawsuits.
He's everything. There's nothing you can say about
Who dat?
Stern.
I don't know who is that guy's name?
I'm sure he'll come back.
One of the bald
Five old
Look at that
coots
wig.
that sit on the FCC have raped me in front of the whole country.
We love Howard.
I think that Howard Stern will go down in history as a brilliant social satirist on radio. And
Judith Regan.
Can you move her
He
jaw?
retired 20 years ago, yeah.
She's got blowjob lips. I wonder if
I
she
know.
did.
Just move her jaw. That's kind of scary. Ooh.
Really? That's like pre-Botox, and she doesn't move at all. She's like a Muppet. That's
She gave blowjobs to pencils to Ticonderoga pencils in Howard's basement. That's a true story.
I say rectum on the air.
Hold on, I need to see her again.
That sit on the FCC have raped me in front of the whole country.
We love Howard.
I think that Howard Stern will go down in history as a brilliant social satirist on radio.
I can really see you being friends with her, Monique. I really can. That's a friendship that never.
She looks like Tracy Lords, the 16-year-old porn star's older, slice off sister.
I love that you know that. I really love that you know that.
Yeah, that's quite
Tracy
great.
Lords reference.
No wonder we're
Let's
friends.
mention the whole cast of Crybaby.
Straight to hell. Okay, here we go.
He felt right there.
Yeah.
In drag.
You're listening to the Howard Stern Show.
Rebel. Look at that schnoz. That's pre plastic surgery.
That's the old nose, old teeth, old hair. Yeah.
Well, old wig.
Right, because he started using wigs after Private Parts.
Oh no,
he started using all of those wigs. Well, that's what Grillo says, that he took all of those home and he started fashioning them as something that he would wear on air.
In the 80s, he went from having that short cropped hair to all of a sudden having really long hair with nothing in between. Like, you never saw him in between with that weird because you have an odd stage, and it never was in that odd stage.
That awkward stage.
The awkward stage. I mean, for him, that's saying a lot.
Go, Todd.
No, I think he had that big coif for a while, and then he went to
But I think it was a wig. I think that was a wig. I think the coif was a wig. Yeah. All right, let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope one of the fans vomits on Jane Fonda. This is my good side. You know, Robin,
I needed a moment alone.
I wish you would have come to me. I would have found a moment alone for you. Coming up, Howard Stern, shock jock. Okay, whatever it is.
Howard is a brilliant social satirist. And I think that he is a man who will skew a lot of sacred cows.
Her face
and
doesn't
will,
move.
Nope.
Talk in ways that, especially in these politically correct times, that people don't want to talk in, that feel afraid to talk in terms of. And
Judith, I'll give you that. Judith, I will give you
a lot of fans.
Howard Stern's philosophy of radio is simple. He says whatever comes into his head on whatever subject is being discussed.
Monique, I got to say, I'll give
the comments vary from
Judith.
What?
That.
What?
Go ahead. Come on.
What?
Hello?
It's unanimous.
Howard going after the sacred cow is his best attribute back then.
Okay, I'm moving on. I'm not even saying a word.
Funny to crude to offensive.
Priests were mooning me.
In the world, according to Stern, honesty is always the best policy.
Bullshit.
And silence is never golden.
This was my plan since I was 5 years old. I wanted to be on the radio and just do a stream of consciousness radio show. And whenever I feel I'm censoring myself, whenever I feel I'm hiding something.
Let me ask you a question. Is this show so fucking bootleg that what it did is take interviews from other shows and put it on their show?
Yeah.
Like, did they actually even ever interview him? I'm
Does
curious.
not appear
about
that way. They had Peter Graves come in and friggin' give a nice introduction, and then, well, the rest is all just pirated.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
From the audience, I go ahead and blurt it out. Because that truth just really does set you free.
It's sort of like at school when you see the kid next to you who says, "You dare me to give the teacher the finger?" And you think, well, no, but I hope he does. God, he did.
I don't laugh at a lot of things. I laugh at really base, crude humor. And evidently millions of other people do too.
Apparently so. His radio show has attracted millions of listeners.
Is that Ralph?
It
is
was.
that like
first thing I thought.
Secondhand fucking Ralph?
Really
Right.
base, crude humor. And evidently millions of other people do too.
Apparently.
That is, that's his boy wonder.
That's Ralph, really close
He's
by.
He's a stately ward.
What's the name of that movie where they make that chain where everybody has their face up the other one's ass?
Human Centipede?
Yes. That's what Ralph is. Ralph is the fucking human centipede to Howard's fucking head of the fucking snake.
I mean, he makes Kato Kalin look like a friggin' entrepreneur. I mean, seriously.
He really does.
He really does.
So, his radio show has attracted millions of listeners from New York to Los Angeles. At the same time, he has accumulated over $1 million.
I'm just going to throw out there right this moment, right now, that we lost John.
Oh, okay.
Here he is. He's back. Hold on.
Wi-Fi.
Johnny?
Judith, I agree with you. The sacred cow aspect.
That was like 20 minutes
was
ago.
what initially attracted to me. Going after that.
Is he on tape?
Forbidden Fruit, the guy who.
I'm muting him. You know what he used to do to me sometimes? Like whenever he calls me, or if I call him, that's exactly what he'll do. He'll just start a conversation. He's very sour shoes-esque when it comes to things. I've muted him, by the way, right now. He's very sour shoes when it comes to shit like that. And he'll just talk. And now watch, I'm going to put him back on. And he'll still be talking.
And here I am in the midst of a commute to Port Washington.
Stop it.
And I hear him going after Billy Crystal. I'm like, nobody makes fun of Billy Crystal. He is an arrogant asshole. Howard's right. It's a great target.
Okay. I'm moving on.
In FCC fines for indecency. Stern has been cited for comments ranging from masturbation and gerbils to Kathy Lee Gifford. Unfair, says Stern.
Great target.
Unfair.
So what did I say? I used the word penis. I used the word
skulk.
Ricky Lake uses the word penis. Oprah, Phil Donahue.
I think that the FCC was very unfair to Howard Stern. When you see what takes place.
those gay men got to stick together.
Yeah, I do.
I was just gonna say, imagine your dad coming home from work and watching Ricky Lake. His life was watching like daytime talk shows. You get home and watch Oprah and Ricky Lake and record all these Jenny Jones and
Johnny's so busy.
I know.
He's so fucking busy.
Based on television in terms of violence and sex.
What the fuck is he talking about?
Then compare that
we don't know.
With the occasional scatological, clever comment by Howard Stern. You say, why would they try to drive him off the air?
Wow.
Stern's running for the FCC and hardly discouraged his legion of fans. His admirers include everyone from business people to blue-collar workers, from teenage.
Can we imagine that crowd back then? And can we discuss just for a hot second the crowd that was outside when I went there to take pictures of Howard promoting his new book?
12 people that were standing out there.
There were like 16 people there, and 12 of them were there so that they could have something signed by him so that they could sell it on eBay. Like literally, that's who was there, plus Mary Ann and like maybe 5.
That's why these series deals make less and less sense, and there's got to be something we gotta find. And I think I found the answer, but that's why these 120 million and 80 million and 90 and 100 million make less and less sense with what Monique's just described. That's the crowd. There's no way.
Yeah.
The thing is that that picture, I can't find it on the internet. I've looked and looked and looked, and I can't find it.
Which picture?
The picture of the 16 people waiting for him outside the bus.
Okay.
I got it. I'll put it in the chat. I have it.
Yeah, I have that. I took it. I took those pictures. Remember, I ran downstairs.
I have the last appearance on Letterman. I'll put that in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, fabulous.
Another one.
Because I love using that when he talks about crowds.
And the one with Beth and her high school principal. I'll put that there too.
And
the Giants defensive backfield.
They have bought over 1 million hardcover copies of his latest book, Miss America. And judging from the record number of fans who show up at his book signings, they are devoted to Howard.
If you look at these book signings he has, where 15,000 people show up. Does Saul Bellow get 15,000 people? Does John Grisham get 15,000 people? No, Howard Stern gets 15,000 people.
Book has been banned in a lot of different places, and I think it's a lot of crap.
Stern is on a quest to become the king of all media. He's produced successful television programs on both WWO.
Can we study those fucking dad jeans he's wearing right there? Like, what the fuck is this? Wait, hold on.
His pay-per-view specials. Like
I gotta go back. I'm sorry.
15,000 people show up. Does Saul Bellow get 15,000 people?
Who?
John Grisham get 15,000 people? No, Howard Stern gets 15,000.
John Grisham just
Book
gets.
has been banned in a lot of different places, and I think.
Look at those dad jeans with the knock knees.
Is that woman in the front like signing?
She's signing. Yeah.
Why?
Exactly.
It was 1993.
I love this guy comparing him to John Grisham. John Grisham just makes movies and he sells his book for movies that make dollars. You're right.
Howard's the only thing is that Howard's life is more fiction than Grisham.
There's Ronnie in his Eugene fucking outfit in the back here.
Does he trying so hard?
Already had security that was working with him. Fucking asshole.
I think it's a lot of crap.
Look at those
Stern is on a
jeans.
quest to become the king of all media.
Why is he
He's
signing?
produced successful television programs on both WWOR in New York and on the E cable channel.
His hair's brown then,
pay-per-view
too.
specials like the Miss Howard Stern New Year's Eve pageant have been lewd and crude spectacles and astounding moneymakers. Now Stern is in production.
Can we review that one day? Because I've never seen it.
Please,
Which
we
one,
must.
Mike?
That New Year's Eve pageant.
It's really bad. And
It's
John
terrible.
Wayne
I
Bobbitt.
bought it too.
John Wayne Bobbitt. So did I. John Wayne Bobbitt is on it.
Oh, does he?
I didn't actually see it, but guys, how much did you pay for it?
I bought it was not the pay-per-view, but the video cassette.
No, we got the pay-per-view, but wait a minute. In typical Guinea fashion, we did have a hot box, so we didn't pay for it.
Okay, good. You didn't pay
I bought the VHS. It was like $60.
Holy
$50
shit!
I remember the New Year's Eve pageant. I'm sure someone in the chat has it. I remember it being like $49.99, something like that. I didn't buy it. I didn't see it. I've never seen it.
They were very expensive. They were very expensive back in the day. Like you would think it was a fucking Tyson fight. That's how much he charged for his paper. It was actually kind of ridiculous, and I never saw any of them because I'm
It was terrible.
We gotta make sure to crunch the numbers and see how much he made on that because it never comes up. And
let's crunch those numbers.
So wait,
Monique,
Crunch those numbers, crunch that ice.
you didn't
okay.
Wait a minute, you didn't have a hot box so you could watch the pay-per-views for free? What the hell's wrong?
I did. 2 years later, I got one, Dennis. I did have one, but it was 2 years.
Yeah, I didn't get one till 95.
Yeah, I struggled to watch that like pseudo like porn channel that was like all wavy. And every once in a while you'd see like a flash of a penis, a wavy like blue penis, you know? It's like, no, we didn't have that in my house.
I just put that last Letterman appearance in the chat.
Okay, we'll look at it. I'll look at it while playing.
Based on his autobiographical book, Private Parts, Stern will play Stern.
Good morning, everybody.
Howard traces his interest in radio back to his childhood. It all began on January 12, 1954. Ben and Ray Stern celebrated the birth of their second child, their first son, Howard. And Howard spent his boyhood in Roosevelt, one of the few integrated towns on Long Island. His father, Ben Stern, owned a recording studio in Manhattan.
Yeah, owned a recording studio. It's not like he worked for the recording studio. Bisnick just hold on. I'll stop the presses. Bisnick just sent me the picture of Howard.
Yeah.
Hold on here.
God damn, that's hilarious.
And so, is that actually Bubba Booey right there?
That actually is him. That actually that's not. I didn't put that in there. Everything else. Well,
this is very indicative of a crowd. Yes,
I didn't put more people there. That's for sure.
This is very indicative.
Gary.
It looks like it looks like a bunch of people that just kind of wandered along. Go, what's this? Like,
yeah, they just dragged them in.
This lady probably lives like in the homeless shelter around the corner,
and she gets 2 hours of shelter.
Exactly.
But that, guys, Monique said they do that all the time in New York. They wrangle. They have like assistant AP producers come out on the street and do, hey, you want to see this?
No,
they need to make it look like.
No, not anymore.
What do you mean? No. They did not now. But then they certainly did. When those talk shows don't have seats, they all the time they recruit people from the
they go to the YMCA and drag them in. I mean,
I'm out, you guys. Let me tell you the way it works. Number one, you have to be okay. So Letterman films at like 5 o'clock. You have to be online and seated. Like you have to be online by like 3 o'clock, 3:30. You are seated by 4 o'clock. So anybody who's going to be in there is in there. This is entirely around the corner. This is like a whole separate street because the talent enters like right over here. There's like a entryway right over here. So all these people are not people to go into the show. These are people who want to see the talent before they go into the show, hoping that they'll come over to them. And well, for example, one time
I hate that word.
That Korean
talent.
We tear.
You know, it's like Brad Pitt or fucking whatever. And but one time that Korean group boy band BTS or BTL or whatever the fuck they're called was there, and this, I swear to you, from this, which is now an entire building that used to be Roseland Ballroom, from here all the way to the corner was just packed with thousands and thousands of screaming girls.
It's
so
absurd.
It depends on who it is. And Howard back in the day would garner, you know, a big fucking crew, but not so much.
It would be 4 deep and as long in like the middle 90s for sure. And now nobody cares. Because if you talk to them now, the people are like, oh, is he still on the radio? Or nobody knows. Nobody cares.
Oh, anybody I say that I do a podcast, they'll be like, who? Is he still in the air? Yeah,
nobody cares.
So wait, this picture of Ben. Now think about this for a second. This picture of Ben is almost 30 years old.
Ben is 107. So yeah, this is like the picture of Dorian fucking Koch Gray.
67 here?
Yeah. He's like the same age, almost the
He's
same
Howard's
age as
age.
Howard.
He's Howard's current age, right here. But if you slap the wig on him, if you slap that fucking
Howard.
Yeah, it's Howard. Give him amber vision and a wig and it's Howard.
Although Howard actually looks a lot like his mother. You know, she's got like those like little chinky Russian Jew eyes, and I don't mean that in a slanty way at all.
Slanty way.
Oh no, I didn't even mean slanty.
I don't mean that in a nippy way at all.
Am I gonna get arrested tonight?
I don't mean that in a chicky way at all.
Did I just get canceled?
Russians have a predominant amount of Asian DNA in them, and so Russian Jews happen to all have like very chinky eyes. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
the Mongol. This is real fact that a Mongol herd did get all the way like to Poland. Yes. So yeah, there is a lot of intermixing.
Yes. Well, right. They had the barrier straits. What is it that would take them across the top of Russia into Asia? So they are very. I can't remember what it's called. Whatever
they passed the Ural Mountains and ended up in Europe.
Well, no, but the Asian connection is up towards Mongolia, and they are. I'm telling you, go to like Russia. I went to St. Petersburg. Half of everybody there looks like they're Asian.
No, Genghis Khan conquered all the way to Eastern Europe. So yes, all of Russia was under the Mongol hordes for hundreds of years. Hence the DNA mix with the Asian look.
Thank you, Genghis Khan.
Yeah. See, now I have to like prove my. I have to fucking show this.
We deflected for you.
Genghis Khan.
Straight.
How about G Canada, Monique? How about
look.
G Canada?
Hold on. Okay, here we are. Here is.
What are we doing now?
Okay,
we're doing geography. You want me to explain?
Fucking geography.
No, I don't.
Okay. So here's.
Oh, that's Kazakhstan. That's where Richie pretended he was from to meet those girls at the camp.
That's exactly fucking.
And they went all the way up to Poland.
I'm gonna grab a
They
beer.
went all the
I'll
way
be right
from here.
back.
The Golden Horde was all the way from Mongolia, all the way over.
Yes.
To like Poland. Yes.
See the way it works. So here we are. This is all part of fucking almost Asia. This whole space. Hence the chinky eyes. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not sure if you're supposed to say that anymore, but
That's okay. I'm just
we're
saying.
good. We're good. I'm not mad.
I'm just saying.
I know you're just saying yeah, okay. It's fine. We're still friends.
Okay, so here's Moscow. Just so we know what we're talking about here.
Gunga Din, next week, the Roman Empire.
Do you hear the sounds of people logging off right now?
Look at how huge Russia is, and
it's
so
massive.
It just makes sense. That Chinese and Mongolian. That's all I'm saying. Okay,
I'm giving you a real reason because
and we're back. Let's go back to the show.
Okay, well, John's back too, so now I'm here. Okay.
John's gone. Oh well, John's gone. It was too much for him. Oh, there he's back.
Let's say for Russia.
Next we'll
Italians next.
Tell Julie and Morgan, it's the Moops, not the Moors. The Moops.
The Moops. And yes, there will be a quiz later. I will be posting it on Radio. Okay, let us continue our shit show. What happened to Dennis Booker? What happened to his picture? Do you hear him?
I'll put one in the chat he can use.
Playing tennis.
I'll put one in the chat he can use. Hold on.
Passion for radio.
I think he got
John,
a real
in the
good
chat.
sense,
There's a picture you can
whether
use.
his father realized this or not at the time, that
there he is.
This kind of
there's a Buddy Colford.
Him was innocent fun was also a living.
During the commutes with his father, Stern was bored by a lot of the radio programs he heard, and so the young Howard began forming ideas for his own radio program.
I'm sorry. So he used to go into the office with his father when he was like 5, 6, 7, 8.
Like all of us, yeah.
Right. So he was bored with what was on radio. He was bored. With it.
At 5 years old, he was bored.
That's a great point.
He hadn't heard Steve Dahl yet, so he was still.
All I wanted in life was for them to play "How Deep Is Your Love" by the fucking Bee Gees for the 4th time in the hour. But he's bored by what's going on the fucking radio.
At 5.
Well, that explains why they have the Bee Gees tribute band at the Best Furry Friends fundraisers, right?
Do you know Xavier actually befriended him on Twitter so that he could get information out of him?
No, you're
the Bee Gees
joking.
tribute band guy.
Yes.
Good Lord.
He was like our buddy for a hot minute.
Did they?
Who?
They pay him? Did they pay him in paintings or
No,
like?
they did it for free. That was their charity contribution. They did
A
it.
Bee Gees tribute band. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll repeat that. A Bee Gees tribute band. All right, good.
Yes.
All right.
Not Bon Jovi, not one of their little asshole buddies.
Not Bruce Springsteen or Van Halen. The
Right.
Bee Gees.
Right.
Like how many
Tribute
deep
band.
cuts? How many deep cuts do the Bee Gees have?
I know this sounds crazy, but they're actually a talented band. They play their own instruments. They write their own shit. They're unique. Nobody sounds like them. Are they corny? Yes. Do they symbolize the disco era? But at least they're doing their own thing.
Aren't two of them dead?
Andy Gibb died of anorexia.
Not including the
No, he died in a plane crash.
not including the cocaine one.
Oh yeah,
No.
not including the cocaine one. You're right.
So there's Maurice, Barry, and another one, and then there was Andy, the younger, cute one,
Yeah.
who died of cocaine overdose, who was dating Victoria Principal. And I don't.
Wow.
Yes.
I remember she was much older than him,
Mm.
and it was one of
Is
those.
she really? I thought they're on the same age. It's not that.
No,
it's not
Victoria
really-
Principal was definitely
She was
older
like
than he was.
20 years older than him. It was like one of those.
Wait. How much older?
Like 20 years, maybe?
No
Or
way.
I don't know that much.
I don't know. You listen. I thought Alice on the Brady Bunch was like 90 when she was on there, and she was only
She was
like
she was only 35.
exactly.
I can't have you. I don't want nobody, baby. If I can't have you.
Victoria Principal was born in
No.
1950. So
Okay, so she's around. Well, she's older than my mother, actually. And then how old was Andy Gibb? I'm just curious when he was born. If you can get that information,
I want to say early 50s.
I can do like Robin.
Don't guess. Just Google.
He was the younger one, right?
He was born in 1958, so it's 8 years difference.
Okay, all right, not that much. All right.
That's Robin the Cradle back then.
Whenever we would tune in and hear anything remotely interesting, even if a guy dropped a tape in the background, I would go, wow, what was that? That was interesting. If I had a radio show, I would put that on the air and explain what was going on.
Stern's father would often berate him, calling him an idiot and a moron. One Saturday morning,
One time.
Ben
One
yelled at
time.
his son
But he
for
was
what
right.
the
And he was
elder
right.
Stern considered a childish remark.
Because we don't want the Japs anymore.
I told you not to be stupid, you moron.
When I hear myself on the radio sometimes and I'm really, ripping into somebody, I know it's my father. My father ripped into me on a daily basis.
No.
You know what's funny? So we
Don't
had
believe
those. We had those tapes of his father ripping into him, but it's only like 2 or 3 tapes, and I'm sure that his father recorded him thousands of fucking times.
Oh no, yeah.
All the time. New equipment. You test it out. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well,
Your
they
son
made
comes
that. They made that pilgrimage to the city at least once or twice a year, where he would go with the family to his studio. So there's hours and hours and hours of actual tape.
And so they just cherry picked the best things that would be very funny on radio. But I'm positive that it was like a loving, fun, get to be on air kind of thing that they did every season. So this
When he says moron there, there's an avuncular tone to his voice. There's nothing malicious. I didn't even really pick that up. If you heard that, just that's the worst he got as a kid, and it's just hammered home over and over again, like this fake trauma and this professional victimization. It's impossible to listen to that. Now we know the truth, and
it was all the same tone. There was no like malice in his voice at all.
No.
Ben sounds like an irritated. Ben sounds like an irritated father.
You know what, Dennis? Dennis, he doesn't even sound that irritated. He's just kind of goofing around. It's probably a friend of his sitting in the booth, another engineer, and he's calling him a moron as a joke. They're laughing, they're smiling. There's nothing about that. There's not a malicious tone.
Let's hear it again, shall we?
Put that on the air and explain what was going on.
Stern's father would often berate him, calling him an idiot and a moron. One Saturday
It wasn't
morning, at the
often. You're a
studio,
liar.
Ben yelled at his son for what the elder Stern
Well, as far as they
considered
know.
a childish remark.
Because we don't want the Japs anymore.
I told you not to be stupid, you moron.
When I hear myself on the radio sometimes and I'm really, ripping into somebody.
Completely
I know
innocuous.
it's, my father. My father ripped into me on a daily basis.
Wow.
Shut up! Sit down!
I hear my father coming out of me and it just goes off,
You know
And
what?
it's very much how my father dealt with me.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you really
otherwise, don't answer.
Sorry.
My father's a very funny guy. When he's ripping somebody good, if it's not you, it's funny. It's really good.
Don't scream and don't talk not too close. When I give you the signal.
If he really had these father issues, he wouldn't be always having his dad
Despite
on
Ben
the air.
Stern's harsh
Hold
words,
on, I cannot
Stern had
hear
a close
anything you're saying. What?
No, I'm saying if this was real, if he really had these father issues, if he really had these hatred towards his dad, he'd be venomous. His dad probably is more successful for his career than he is.
Yeah.
There's no
Todd,
way.
he was. Todd, you on the basketball circuit, the AAU basketball circuit, you see the helicopter parents. Howard had a helicopter parent, and he's a fucking baby boomer. Nobody at that back then, the parents were. He's got phenomenal parents. He has a helicopter parent, and he's 67. He has. I mean, I have decent parents. They weren't that. They weren't hovering like that. I never got to do that shit. I think we all agree to that.
There's no way this guy abused him the way he says.
No.
And if he did, he would never be in his life, or he would do the impressions and have him on the air all the time. It's so phony.
It's an easy crutch for Howard to use
now.
for his, perceived psychosis of being like an abused child, or it just makes no sense.
Professional victim is what it is.
Being an abused child when you're 60, almost 67 years old. Come on, let's really put this in perspective.
Seriously, get over it.
His grandfather.
But we have no way to prove it. Like back then, when he's pulling these and he's serial lying like that, you can't go to the internet and try to prove this stuff. There's no audio to look. You got to kind of take his word for it. And this special is taking his word for it because they really can't, other than Paul Colford. There's nobody disproving his lies at that point.
All right, let me continue. We got too much to go to.
Relationship
7 minutes in.
Parents.
His
mother Ray was a warm and outgoing woman, a loving mother. Stern's home was his haven.
Howard was
There he is.
outward appearances, I think, the quintessential shy guy. There are neighbors who remember him in his grammar school years, for example, kind of skulking,
I love Colford
home, looking to the right or the left, and vanishing inside his house.
Stern's home life was stable. His hometown was not.
Great.
In the mid-'60s, Roosevelt began experiencing racial conflicts that divided the neighborhood.
I grew up in an all-black neighborhood. Everyone was talking to each other about race. That's all we talked about. Classes. The teachers were all phonies. They couldn't even handle the discussion. They would talk about how we should all live together as brothers and we should all be together. What a bunch of hooey. They're sitting in an all-black neighborhood. I'm the only white guy living there. Talking about how we should all live together as brothers.
Yeah, did you say the N-word when you were like a kid like that, Howard? Like, did you actually go over to your, supposed tormentors who in your first book were actually a Polish kid and not actually black kids? Did you ever say the N-word to them as much as you did on air? You fucking lying sack of shit.
Such a liar.
Could you imagine that those pictures we see of younger him trying to drop that? I mean,
never
my God.
It's also too like he's given off this thing. When we're all in school, we kind of all make efforts to kind of get along with people and integrate and find our niche. He makes no effort at all. He thinks they should all flock to him. He shouldn't have to exert any affability whatsoever. And show any kind of conviviality.
It's all a lying sack of shit. I bet you he had white friends. And if you recall the interview that we did with his friend from camp, he used to come to his house all the time. It was very, open, loving relationship that he had with his parents. It was no big deal. He had all his white little friends. So it wasn't this was all to make that trucker going across the country feel like he was one of them. That's it.
Yeah.
Bottom line. That racist that has come out in practically everyone today. But
and back then nobody could fact check the way they can fact check now. And
that's
so
exactly.
There's just like okay.
As we always say, his greatest enemy is the internet. Seriously.
Yep.
You're right.
Meanwhile, they're not even living in the town where I go to school, these teachers.
Though many of Stern's white
They usually don't, Howard. You don't usually work in your own town.
Determined not to join the exodus. However, life with their son was getting tougher and tougher all the time. At school, he was routinely beaten up, his lunch money taken away.
Again, bullshit.
Finally, in 1969, the Sterns decided they had to leave Roosevelt, and they moved to nearby Rockville Center. Though only 2 miles from Roosevelt, it had a New England village feel. Rockville Center was predominantly white and certainly more affluent than its neighbor.
Affluent.
The Stern family lived near a golf course on which they could not play because they were Jewish.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
15-year-old Stern still felt to be the outsider.
Howard was devoid.
Oh, my favorite.
This is that clip. Yep.
People approve of in high school. For example, what do you evaluate when you see someone in high school? Athletic ability, scholastic ability.
We love this.
Abilities with females. I mean, that's basically how we judge each other when we're in.
This is our podcast, everyone.
Howard had none of those three. On top of that,
this is the guy that called him Gunk, right?
Yeah. And this may come as a shock to him. Gunkard Stern, that was his name. And we called him Gunky because he was so incredibly awkward. He couldn't run. He couldn't jump. He had no physical prowess whatsoever in any sport. He stayed away from it. He hardly went to gym. He cut gym as often as he could. And he became such a standout that we were sort of attracted to him because we wanted to know, well, how could a guy be so different? How could a guy be 6'5", 14 years old, and not be able to play basketball?
Stern couldn't play sports with his friends, but he could entertain them. He excelled at the crude humor and biting put-downs beloved by teenagers.
It's Ray. Yeah.
Oh my God.
They are the same face. They are same face. Same face. Yeah.
Boys.
We were playing cards, and we'd be sitting there, and he'd take a big gulp of soda and just have a giant belch, and we would laugh. I mean, like idiots, we laughed at him. So the more
look at Uncle Saul's there. Uncle Saul.
He wanted to give
Grandpa
says
Saul.
exit.
Is
Grandpa
so funny to me. Maybe I'm caught in terminal adolescence.
Exit 137.
But a guy sitting and belching a really loud belch will break me up. And farting is one of the most wonderful things. The noise itself is a symphony to me.
We would rank him out, and he would rank us out, all in fun. He would always find the vulnerable side of somebody, and he would know how to exploit that vulnerable side with a very like a fencing expert. He could find it and exploit it, even if it was only that big.
Howard never shared his dream of becoming
now he exploits his staff and
high school friends, but he chose a college known for its communications program, Boston University.
You went to 13th fucking grade. I mean, let's be honest. He didn't get into BU at first. He had to go for remedial classes for a year before they would accept him into the school.
And it wasn't like he chose the school. It was like the only place he could go.
Right.
Let's be really honest about this. There was nobody beating down the door to have Stern go to their school. And his father paid everything. His father
exactly
paid
right.
But guys, BU's not the easiest school to fucking get into. Let's not fool ourselves here.
Well, unless you're going to 13th grade.
SUNY, I mean, he was going to BU. That's actually a pretty decent fucking school.
No, you don't think Ben had connections, Monique, to BU? It is a classic fucking communication school.
He was on the border. He was on the border, and they say, "Hey, you got to go to this almost like junior college prep thing, then you can get in." So that's kind of what it was. It wasn't like
he transferring into Yale. Like you can go to any other school and then get into Yale, like in your third year or something.
You got to give people a little bit of credit. Just I don't like to, but I'll give them a
BU
little.
is not the hardest school. Not the easiest school to get to, you guys.
They wouldn't let me transfer to FIT, Monique. I tried from Murray State, rejected me 3 times.
Couldn't get the FIT.
Sophomore year in college, Stern worked
Wow,
briefly
that.
at a college radio station.
Wow.
He was fired because of his offensive
No,
material.
he wasn't.
In his junior year, Stern met social work student Allison Burns. Allison was attracted to the humor of the tall and skinny Stern. She became his first full-time girlfriend.
Wow.
Both Stern and Allison finished college in 1976, with Howard graduating magna cum laude. He was offered a job at WRNW, a station outside Manhattan. At the age of 22, Howard Stern was on his way to fulfilling that childhood.
Wow.
How old is that person? How old?
22.
This is 22.
He looks like a fucking middle-aged man. I mean, that is the most unfun person in the room, by far.
Holy shit!
Wow.
I love these pictures. This is like a joy.
Wow.
Dream of radio stardom. While WRNW wasn't exactly the big time, it was a place to start.
Hi, I'm Howard Stern, the program director.
By the way, it's Briarcliff Manor. That is legit 45 minutes from his home. So it's not like he was so far away. He's never, other than Detroit or whatever, he's never been that far from home.
No.
Ever.
Detroit was the farthest.
He spent a grand total of what? 3-4 years away from New York his entire life. And that's not a bad gig to get. He thinks you should, and he'll humble brag how bad he was in the beginning, but you should be throwing the salary he has at him then. You should never start from the bottom. He should always start at the top, no matter how bad he is, and the victimization at all the places he ever worked he deserved a lot more than what they were, no matter where it is.
Yes.
Of Westchester's rock station. It's really hard to describe what makes a radio station a success.
Oh my God.
We here at WRNW have narrowed it down to a very few special elements.
While Stern explored his radio persona, Allison pursued her graduate studies at Columbia University. After her graduation in 1978, the two 24-year-olds were married.
I can't for the life of me understand what she saw in him.
I don't either. I'm really trying to figure that out.
She's a cute girl.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot there. There's,
what do you think?
She could be just as gawky and insecure, and maybe he made her laugh a little bit. There's you never know. We always question the people that outkick their coverage, So
yeah. Well, you can get the campus DJ can get attention just off that. I don't think it's that difficult in that school that's your pussy magnetism.
Please, show of hands, who in college knew who their fucking campus DJ was?
Well, it's a communication school. I mean, I don't know how they had nothing to do. Back then, there was nothing to do.
Who even paid attention to that? Like
they met. Wait, they met.
They played like The Cure, Depeche Mode. I didn't give a fuck about.
I'm trying to create some kind of excuse. I don't know.
Hey, they actually met because he was doing a film project, and he asked her to be in it. That's how they met.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's like casting couch. He was a casting couch before.
Exactly. She had no idea.
CastingCouch.com.
Harvey Weinstein.
A synagogue outside of Boston.
I enjoyed watching them together. I always considered Allison to be the anchor. I mean, she kept Howard tethered to the earth. It seems to me that they had a very nice relationship, a very good relationship. She tolerated Howard. I think she had a lot of patience.
A lot of patience.
And I think she endured a lot of his craziness.
Howard Stern controlled his anxiety and energy with transcendental meditation, which he had learned in college.
Howard was just a ball of reckless energy. You could see he was a man struggling to contain himself.
It does.
Just like you.
But then he recognized one of the ways he was going to do that.
I hate this man.
He's like a bad.
This is reckless energy.
Oh God, I'm tired all of a sudden.
His middle. Precisely at a moment when he needed
the tryptophan's kicking in.
Wow. What's this clip on Ty?
After 2 years at WRNW, Howard took the job of morning man at WCCC in Hartford, Connecticut. It was his first crack at the morning drive slot.
Commercial break.
In 1979, at the age of 25, Stern
became
the morning man at WCCC AM in Hartford, Connecticut. Howard Stern was making a whopping $12,000 a year.
That's a lot of money.
Good rock and roll music here at CCC AM 1290, FM 107.
Howard's first brush with notoriety came during the gas crisis of 1979. Responding to his listeners' angry calls, Stern launched a "To Hell with Shell" campaign, urging his audience to join in a 2-day boycott of Shell products. The oil company was not happy with WCC.
Just so you know, I was looking up how much $12,000 in 1980 valued at today is $26,000.
No, that's not true.
Oh, no. Here. Sorry. In 1980 is equivalent in purchasing power to about $38,000.
That's not bad. 26. More indeed to get that spot that quickly. That's not bad.
It's not bad at all. I mean,
doing what you love
with no talent. I mean, that is
in Hartford, right? Seemingly no talent at that point.
Seemingly.
DC, but the bit paid off in the ratings, and it helped bring Stern to the attention of the radio consultant Dwight Douglas.
11,000 too much.
There's something here. There's something going on.
Something.
So I called Howard Stern and asked him to give me a complete package.
So I have a question. Is this the guy that helped him steal all the stuff? Was this the guy?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
this was the guy. Okay.
This is the Steve Dahl theft
The
guy.
He surrounds himself with some boring people. Good lord.
Oh.
Well, he's boring himself.
What's
his name again?
My point. He's just surrounding himself with some boring people, and this is going to be challenging.
Well, find who you can exploit and do your bidding for you. That's been his whole life.
But the bid paid off in the ratings, and it helped bring Stern to the attention of the radio consultant, Dwight Douglas.
And I listened to the tape, and I thought, there's something here. There's
Dwight Douglas.
So
Classic.
I called Howard
If
Stern
that's his real name.
and asked him
Classic
to
D.
give me a
Douglas.
complete package, and he was very efficient.
Oh, he made him a
After listening to the
package.
Tapes, it struck me that he was kind of like
That's what Howard likes, packages.
Packages,
And
right.
we
Exit
recommended
136,
him for
90
our
minutes
station
in. We're at
Detroit.
minute 15. Get me some coffee.
Oh my god! All right, I know. Sorry.
I'd go to the gym tomorrow morning.
Need some money. Stern took the job in Detroit. The move, after all, meant a bigger market.
Still begging after all these
radio
years.
Station and more money.
More money.
WWW It's going to be rough to get Princess Caroline here, although maybe she'll get my message somehow. Maybe if you drop her a note and tell her to appear on the Howard Stern program, we can get her on dial a date.
Stern used his time in Detroit to refine his radio persona. He cut down on the amount of music and added more conversation with guests.
So he would have on record company representatives who were passing through pitching songs to the station.
I would fucking kill to have Paul Colford on.
I tried so many ways.
I know. Where the fuck
I went after colleagues of his on Newsday on Facebook, and we had like an exchange going for 3 weeks, and Colford never got back. They said he's like kind of like not prickly, but prickly, I guess would be the word. And I just never got. I would go away for 4 months, come back, try again. He was that important. His book is brilliant. Anybody who hasn't picked it up, the Unauthorized Biography. He's an absolute pit bull, and he phrases things. He was a cynic before we were doing this shit. He saw through that. And the guy doesn't get nearly enough credit. Howard, he's reviled and banned, and Howard's had him, don't grant him an interview. He's telling us on staff.
And insult the music that they were trying to get onto the turntables of his station in Detroit.
Now, there's a guy. What do you think of him, Glenn?
That wasn't bad at all.
You like that?
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you. I didn't like it.
For the short time he was there, less than a year in total, he never really achieved any significant ratings breakthroughs, but it was a place in which he was allowed to exercise all kinds of outrageous comic freedom.
I just bought a new car, American. Please check me out for 10 minutes.
And that would ultimately take him to the next step, which was Washington, D.C.
In 1981, Stern accepted the job of morning man at DC 101 in Washington. The 27-year-old Howard Stern was now making $40,000 a year.
Wow. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money back then.
What year is that?
1981. I mean, a car was only like $5,000. I mean, seriously, that's a lot.
I wouldn't even say that much. $5,000's a lot for a car back then.
I mean, that was a really nice car.
$126,000 in 2020.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
DC 101's program director suggested the now historic pairing of Howard Stern and newsperson Robin Quivers. Both Stern and Douglas liked what they had heard on Quivers' tape.
Robin Quivers was initially reluctant to go move yet again out of her native Baltimore to Washington. But in listening to Howard Stern's
it's not that fucking far, you idiot.
Thought this was going to be something unlike any radio show she was familiar with. She wanted to meet Howard Stern. He was wacky.
I don't think that's true.
Wild, and it might be fun. It might be a way for her to be noticed as a newswoman if she were teamed up with a guy who would...
What was she doing prior to that? Do we even know? Like, historically?
She went to like radio school and was doing I think she was doing radio in Baltimore, like really shitty radio. And that's how she ended up, like, they saw her. But that's, if I remember correctly, it's been a while, but I think that's where she went from She did the radio schools, and then she went on. Unless I'm wrong, but that's how they picked her up. That she was did news on these radio stations in Baltimore, and that's why they wanted to bring her to DC.
Bring a bright spotlight to that show.
Here, Robin and Howard conduct their own coverage of the Prince Charles, Princess Diana wedding.
It's hard to hear you, Robin. You say something about a lesbian? What was that?
Thespian.
Yeah, there are a lot of lesbians over here in England. We've been finding it out. Even Lady Di has a confession to make.
Stern found he worked best when he could play off of other people. He developed a think tank to help him with the show. Members of the group contributed skits and songs and just
the humor.
Die talk.
Got a bunch of crazy people here. What's your name? Steve Chaconis.
Wow.
We never knew when the mics were on. Wow. We would sit there and Howard would start talking about something, and I'd have to ask people, how was the show today? What did we talk about? And they would say, oh, you guys are doing this. And I had no idea we were on the air. We had mics there. It was
Steve?
like a bunch of guys hanging out just to shoot the breeze and having a good time. And Howard would throw up a topic. Someone else would throw up a topic. And we'd end up going with it.
Maury Boys. See that, Monique?
That's right, meathead.
The Maury Boy's right. It's like Howard trying to sound like Bob Hope. That inflection.
Yeah, totally.
It's got the same cadence and everything. That's a great observation, Maury Boy. Fake energy. Super cool movies is right. He sucked back then, but so did everyone else.
Hold
on. This is the most low energy documentary I've ever seen.
It's fitting.
About
yes.
Mother. That was written by one of the members of the think tank with a certain amount of doctoring by Howard Stern with the lyrics.
She does it with curls, sure.
Oh, it's just so bad.
I bought this album for Benjamin like 3 years ago for Christmas. For no good fucking reason.
Right. What bargain bin did you find this in?
eBay bargain bin.
Oh my god.
How much was it?
Oh, I don't know, like $40 or something.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know.
So sexy.
It was in Washington that Stern's
Benjamin
wife
jerking off the Paul
learned that nothing in their private life was off limits for the broadcast.
Allison was pregnant, and she had a miscarriage. And I guess Howard felt that it was better to go on the air with it, and rather than keeping it inside. And Howard talked about it. And I think the worst thing that happened out of that, Howard did not do it to hurt Allison. I think the worst thing that came out of that was that there was a reporter here in town who taped it and apparently played the tape for Allison, and it got her upset for a while. Howard really believed that there was nothing you could do to offend anybody, nothing you could say that was really offensive. Because when you really think about it, what can be offensive about something that somebody says?
Nothing was sacred to Howard Stern. He lampooned everything.
What is it, Mom? What do you want? Beaver, did you wash up for dinner? Sure, Mom. And Wally, did you
What the fuck are we listening to?
It's a Leave It to Beaver sketch.
It's a beaver.
Pre-Jackie non-humor.
Yeah, pre-Jackie, exactly.
An Air Florida jet crashed into a bridge in Washington, D.C. What Stern did in the aftermath of the tragedy shocked some Washingtonians almost as much as the crash itself. And it certainly established Stern as the most radical and, to some people, the most offensive presence on the Washington radio scene.
When the plane crashed at the 14th Street Bridge, I said on the air, someone ought to call these guys and make them accountable because there was...
Isn't it amazing that he still wears dark fucking round glasses?
Yeah.
I mean, that he hides behind this person.
Yep. That's the Burt Convey era. That's exactly right.
Jesus fuck.
That wig, though. Wow.
That's not a wig.
Ask him if
That's
this is
his,
going to
that,
be
or at least it's partially a wig.
People started tuning in to hear
Even
what
that looks fake.
Shocking.
But that's his hair.
101 would say
That's a
or
Jew
do
fro
that.
extreme.
Stern's
I
ratings.
choose to have this hair.
By then he had the, what do you call that, little patch thing to put on top. There was a weave in that.
No.
Right.
Yeah, he actually used on a talk show. He had a weave.
That was with David Brenner, Dennis?
It was on morning show in New York, like on NBC.
Bill Boggs or something?
Stern had only
Bill Boggs.
DC 101. And near the end of that contract, NBC in New York called and offered him the afternoon drive slot at WNBC AM. Stern said yes, and then used his last 3 months at DC 101 to harass the general manager, who had never really appreciated him anyway.
So finally, Howard goes on the air and takes this complaining about how much money he's making to the next level, and goes on the air and reports that he's only making $84,000 a year and that the general manager is making $364,000, and pegs the number, says the exact number that the man was making. I guess he found out some way, right?
And that's the last time you ever heard his real salary.
In real life, you get fired for that.
Stern was off the air in Washington, but he was on his way to realizing his dream of radio stardom in New York City.
And he can't ever end a relationship well.
Never. There's no place he ever worked where it ended well.
Island, listening to the powerful radio stations out of Manhattan.
No old friends.
82 at 28, he became the afternoon drive jock on one of those stations, WNBC AM.
What a bad
Hello.
mustache.
On the air. We even make fun of people who like
Who's
the
that?
show. Yeah.
It's Robin.
We make fun of everybody.
Eyeballs and teeth.
Don Imus was WNBC's star. Their ratings
Who's
and revenue
that?
Let's radio and never let us
That was
down.
Calvin Murphy.
I remember this.
Tony Gwynn.
Tony Gwynn.
Drugs and alcohol made NBC management uneasy.
You know, I'm surprised you don't bring a bottle of vodka in here every morning and just set it down just to kind of help me along here. I have one in reserve.
They hired Howard as a backup for the unpredictable morning.
Remember these ads in New York?
I remember these
They were all over the place.
Jesus.
You know, my father worked for the Transit Authority. I had every single one of them. I don't know what happened to them.
Oh,
but
darn.
yeah, I had all of them. Yeah. I didn't even know who he was.
Executives were also wary of their new afternoon jock. About a month before Stern's debut in New York, NBC Television aired a report on shock radio.
What you're about to hear is going to shock and disgust you because it's vulgar, even obscene.
Howard Stern quoted prominently in the piece.
To watch this report.
No, that's exactly right, Monique. Did anyone, Dennis, you listened to Howard, right, at NBC?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Monique, you and I, but I'd catch him periodically in a car with someone, and that's exactly what it sounded like. It sounded like the frog from Courageous Cat.
Oh yeah, it was awful.
Meets and like a Wicked Witch kind of intonation. And it was really creepy to be like a little kid, and you would just hear, and then
sound manly. It did not sound manly at all.
It was such a turnoff to a kid.
I wasn't allowed to listen to him like in the car. Yeah, when he was on WNBC, that was like absolutely could not listen to him on the radio, not at all.
I had some
my father was
parents.
to WINS, WINS News Time, and that's all we fucking heard in the goddamn house.
When you walked into the studio at NBC, they had a collage of a family sitting down eating dinner together, people going to church, and they had a big banner up top saying, "Howard, remember, this is your audience." That kind of stuff with Howard Stern or any other performer entertainer, that was quite inhibiting, and I think that Howard felt that.
I want kids someday. I'm just joking with you, man. Don't be so damn serious, man.
I have trouble dealing with
Man, what's the matter with you? Serious, man.
Wow. You're joking. Those aren't jokes. They're funny.
Yeah, okay, Token.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
So convincing.
Robin from Baltimore. And a new general manager was hired who supported Howard and his show. The new manager, Randy Baumgarten, launched the first ad campaign that featured both Imus and Stern.
WNBC Radio apologizes to the following: the National Organization for Women, the New York chapter of Hadassah.
I remember this commercial.
The ad campaign, along with Stern's new on-air freedom, brought more listeners to Howard's show. Although Baumgarten was a fan of Stern's humor, Howard sometimes went too far, even for him.
Howard
Bloomies.
On why don't Jewish women use their mouths for anything except eating Chinese food?
Like that.
Jackie.
Yeah, Jackie Line.
At one point I felt it was just a little bit more explicit than careful.
We're at NBC. Where is Jackie here? We have not brought him up. He's on the show.
He's on the show. Yeah.
But he turned it into a bit.
That's a Jackie line.
I would say that most people talk the way I
Look
talk,
at that look.
think the way I think,
That is,
and
I remember
are
this
listening
shit.
to it
Wow.
because of the nature of the work they do. Or
The affected voice too changed it again.
Can't really loosen up, so I do it for him. I'm like a.
He's doing that Belzer, Dennis Miller sarcasm voice.
And I loosen up for all the people who out there who just want to break loose.
Howard's sense of humor had earned him enough money to buy a home in an affluent neighborhood on Long Island. There, he and Allison enjoyed the company of their first daughter, Emily, who was born in 1983.
So let me say hi to the baby before I go.
All right.
Hi, honey. Emily.
You're such a I was gifted. Figure out how much
lasted about a year. Then in 1984, a management shuffle, Baumgarten was promoted. Stern was back to battling management.
NBC executives will come down and start sprinkling money over my head.
I've been told not to that enough is enough, particularly in interviews like this. When you do an outside interview, you don't make fun of NBC management. But I don't care. Listen, man, those guys are only going to turn around and fire me the day I don't get ratings. They'll dream up some way to get out of my contract.
And so when he became too much of a liability, when NBC felt that there was this real potential they could be really embarrassed by this guy, he said, get rid of him.
Here's where he's going to claim he fought for Robin.
That immoral does not belong on the air.
He speaks his piece. I think it's great.
Wow, look at the glasses.
And he should get his job back.
He deserves to get fired.
Within a month, Stern and his New York, this time at XRK, known as K-Rock. The head of the station saw Howard Stern as a possible answer to K-Rock's problems.
If I could jam my tongue into K-Rock's throat right now, I would.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I started listening to it.
And he was on in the afternoons. Yeah,
right. And the funny thing is that was he on in the afternoons?
Yes, he was. He was initially, because who was on in the mornings was no, in the mornings.
Jay Thomas?
Jay Thomas was in the mornings.
Yeah.
So you know what? So weird. So I guess I didn't start listening to Howard until he went to the mornings. I think that's when I first started listening to Howard.
The first 6 months he was on in the afternoons, and when I got home from school, I'd listen to the show. So he was, it was 2 to 6. He was on.
Wow, yeah, I didn't even realize that. Wow,
it's a love affair.
Let me tell you something. I love this place.
Stern thrived at K-Rock and was soon shifted to the coveted morning drive slot. His success in New York prompted K-Rock's parent company, Infinity, to try syndicating their star nationally. On the morning of April 18, 1986, Philadelphians turned on WYSP and heard the words, "Hello, Philadelphia. Welcome to your worst nightmare." Stern's strategy in Philadelphia was simple. Identify the enemy, then destroy him.
And so when he arrived in Philadelphia, we very quickly figured out, who have I got to be? The number one man in town. He set his sights on crushing.
Yeah, that's when I started listening.
He would call DeBella's show on the air, and they would get put on hold, and DeBella's station, WMMR, would get piped in over the phone system.
90.33 WMMR.
And so Stern would be having WMMR in Philadelphia piped in over his radio show, and he would be ridiculing DeBella as he was on the air.
Stern also exploited his rival's marriage problems, even featuring DeBella's wife as a guest on his show. John DeBella eventually took a hiatus from radio.
He's told me on occasion that DeBella at the time
was this before DeBella's wife committed suicide because of all this? I mean,
no, there's a big gap there. They're jumping ahead like 3.5 years.
It's a strange timeline. Todd, did you listen to DeBella at all? How was the show?
It was okay. There was nothing, it was good. It was fine.
Howard was landmark radio though when he came anywhere. Honestly,
he came in like that. He was a bull in a china shop. He came in and and when he came to Philadelphia, it was pretty good. So, but when they said all this, the timeline they're putting here is like they're eliminating like 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Presented to him.
So everybody knows.
every bully who had ever pushed him around, every cool kid who made fun of him, John DeBella became the embodiment
Yeah,
of
that looks like a cool kid.
what he had to crush to get where he wanted to get.
Stern Show drew thousands of listeners in Philadelphia and generated far greater number of complaints to the FCC than it ever had in New York.
Sir, I say penis. I say
That
rectum
voice,
on the air.
that
How much
voice.
more leeway do you think
Howard Stern received the first actual fines from the FCC because of a 1988 Christmas.
How much do we hate that fucking clap? Like
Oh,
seriously,
clapping.
there's nothing worse than that. Horrible
show in which a man played the piano
with his penis
in an unusual manner.
A guy came into the studio Christmas time and played the piano with his penis.
There he goes, Robin.
He's ready.
Uh-oh, with his private part. We're going to hell.
I'm on the radio. You can't see a guy playing the piano with his penis. He said, I'm going to play the piano with my penis, and played it.
Such a portend of things to come, right?
Yeah.
Like who would even think that 30 years later, all he'd be doing is having people show cock and sing fucking cock songs. Like who would think that this would be something that would actually make him money? Like seriously, like I don't even understand. And we look at it now and it's like, God, that's so fucking tame. Like how would anybody even know that he was playing with his fucking cock? Right?
Or that he's remotely concerned with censorship or your freedom of speech bullshit, and that's all total horseshit. His concern for your freedom of speech or the First Amendment.
I will definitely contend that the whole FCC thing, like I think that most radio stations knew exactly what they were getting into when they had him.
Totally.
And they reserve money on the side for these fines because it made them more popular. That's advertising you couldn't pay for.
And the other part is that he never got fined. The station got fined and paid.
Exactly, they paid.
He never
they
paid a penny.
Not a penny. I've said this 100 times on the show. The FCC, his fake battle with the FCC and John Kerry and Clear Channel and Bush administration, and it was the biggest fucking infomercial for the move to Sirius. He loves every goddamn minute. I didn't buy a second of it. That he loves that. There was no better to paint himself as a First Amendment martyr and poster child for that. He loved that. It could not have benefited more from that.
Yeah, and you know what? That was their price of admission. Paying some FCC fines because you can't buy that kind of publicity. If you are so bad that you are being censored by the FCC, and I would dare say that made him even more rambunctious and more outrageous to the powers that be in government because it was great fucking publicity. I mean, you just can't buy that kind of publicity. Right? So it was their price of admission to fucking having somebody like Howard.
Excuse me, you didn't see it. And you know what? If you saw it, I don't think you turned to stone. But nevertheless, that's what was said, and that's what the big fines were.
The FCC fined Infinity $6,000 because, in its opinion, Stern used language that describes sexual and excretory activities in a patently offensive manner. Stern's run-ins with the FCC didn't hurt his career. In the early 1990s, WWOR-TV in New York offered Stern a weekly show opposite Saturday Night Live, and the program ran until the summer of '92. The next few years would bring Howard many more opportunities to test his talent outside the radio world.
Commercial break.
Magic Johnson is in the news, and I see people carrying on, oh, poor Magic this, poor Magic that. Magic knew what he was doing. Magic knew exactly what he was doing. He could have easily taken a revolver to his head and done the same thing.
At the age of 37, Howard Stern finally found a radio home as the morning man at K-Rock in New York City. The ratings books for the fall of 1991 brought the fulfillment of Howard's childhood dream. He was #1 in New York.
Howard Stern is God.
Howard was reaching 1 million people a day, and his fans were staying tuned longer than usual for radio listeners.
I'm self-confident about one thing in life, and that's radio and doing that radio show. When I'm doing that radio show, I'm full of confidence. I work the controls. I work the microphone. I control everything. I love being the orchestra leader, and I love being in all, just having all of that control. So radio to me is the most perfect medium.
Everyone knows if you get cancer, you start digging your grave right now. All these guys who think they're going to beat it.
The radio program sounds like Stern having a long, spontaneous conversation. But that conversation is hard work.
I've been in the studio a couple of times during the show and when the show ends. And it is fun to watch because it's almost as if when the red light goes off, sort of the toxins drain right out of him. It's like one of those pens, you turn upside down and just watch the toxins drain out. It's clearly a performance.
Jesus Christ.
He readily admits that what he does on the radio is a performance, and he has to get himself up to do it. And his energy quickly diminishes because he is exhausted when the radio show is over. He is.
Are we supposed to be feeling bad for him?
Around acting like a radio show. I'm not constantly talking.
What radio host doesn't feel that?
Shot.
Right.
Yeah.
If you know how many people I use this, and that's not an excuse to use sports here, but Todd, Dennis, you probably listen to sports radio. There are sports radio hosts that do a show by themselves for 4 hours. They don't have people writing for them. They don't have sidekicks. They have nothing but them talking about the same goddamn couple of topics for 4 hours. That's energy. That's what he's doing.
And they take real callers, and they actually banter with callers head to head. And
but then this show is about whatever he wants it to be. Those people who work in sports radio and politics, if they talk about Dancing with the Stars for 45 minutes and their limo drivers anal sex,
but are they on for 4 hours? Number one.
Yes,
Number two.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
yes.
they're definitely on.
I can name
by
one.
themselves.
All right, don't yelling. Why are you guys?
I'm not. I'm just. You said it.
Great
Why is
example.
he a victim? I'm telling.
Great example is Jim Rome. I mean, Jim Rome did a 4-hour show, and he was by himself, and he would take calls. I mean, this guy had a writing staff, and everything said out of his mouth was Jackie. I mean, it was
he's playing prank calls and clips and parody songs. And, these guys are talking the whole time, and they have to stick to the program. You can't in sports radio deviate to fucking Dancing with the Stars or your deviant. You have to talk about that stuff or you're fired. So that's even harder to me. Hey kids, stay up to do. Which is it, guys? You want the monotone librarian of Colford? Or do you want some piss and vinegar? Do you want fire breathing?
Everything's good.
Or do you want NPR? Which is it?
Everything's good.
You want fucking...
Can we have the middle,
you want McDowell's?
Hot dog vendor at a Yankee game? I mean, can we be somewhere in the middle?
Oh my God! You fucking kill me, John.
All right, you want to go home? My wife says, you come home. You're such a life of the party the rest of the day. How come you're not the life of the party at home? I go, you know what? I'm really beat.
In the early 1990s, the Howard Stern Show continued to make its way across America, picking up stations in Los Angeles and Cleveland, in Dallas, and in upstate New York. Howard Stern had proven that he was more than just a local phenomenon.
Now, what is this? What exactly is this show that's going on here? What is this?
This is the funeral in Philadelphia, I believe.
John DeBella funeral.
Yes.
I gotcha.
I think that's what it is. He's dressed up like the Pope.
It always goes to this now.
I believe that's what this is.
Well, Scott,
they're not even actually telling us.
Well, Scott the engineer dressed up as
DeBella in a coffin.
Yeah.
Look at what it got you, Scott.
To Stern's honesty.
Because he's so in touch with himself. He has the ability to be in touch with everyone.
God.
Really?
And you'll hear people say
Really,
all
Randy?
the time when they talk about Howard. He says the things
Randy.
I'm thinking about.
Randy Baumgarten.
He really
like a porn star.
Nerve.
He wishes.
Bad porn name.
And the thing that's in all of us, the things that we can't say,
God, he looks
the
like
things that
such an empty
society says
suit.
we can't say.
Totally.
1992 brought a dubious achievement in Howard's career, his appearance on the MTV Awards.
Allow me to demonstrate
this
the
is so
greatest
cringy.
farting powers of all.
Stern had greater success with another 1992 television project.
No.
Interview program on the
What?
Him and those eyes. He thinks his eyes are.
Crazy eyes.
Oh my God.
The Howard TV staff called him Crazy Eyes.
I don't even remember the Howard Stern interview. Like I remember Howard Stern.
I do.
It was on E!
Hot second. Fucking hot second. It was bad.
It was. I think there's a total of 36 of them. And it was funny. You'd like a few of them. There's actually some really good ones that we should do a show on that ran off the rails. Phil Hartman's on one of them, which I believe you watched. Gary Shannon's on it.
Yeah. I think he had Trump on there too.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Molly Ringworm says Howard's show was an oddity, an anomaly that could only have existed in the 1980s and 90s. So true. He got lucky that his career coincided with the rise of mass pop culture-based media in the final years of pre-internet era. You are 1,000% correct. It is the only time somebody like him could have existed, because a show like that today would just fall into the ether. Like anything else, it wouldn't even be considered controversial or outrageous to anyone. So
nobody would care.
It's only fair. It's only fair. And to Howard's credit, I will totally give him props on this. I remember when I first got ensconced in the show and became just a rabid listener, what really hooked me was that the rules that he didn't follow were the things like you're not going to a break at the top of the hour. You're not announcing the time. You don't have news breaks on the half hour. You don't have to do weather and traffic and all that shit. And as a listener, you can really, really get comfortable. He's going to be on the air for 50 straight minutes. And you can get into a full interview or a segment or whatever, or a rant. You try listening to, and I listened to a little Imus because he was on WFAN in his early days in the late 80s. And this is nothing against, Imus had his funny moments. There were goofy bits, and there were things about it I liked. But his show was unlistenable in the sense that he would go to a break every 90 seconds. There was no content. Dennis, do you remember Imus' show?
Yeah, it was the old strict format radio, which had the structure of they had to take breaks at certain times, and it did kill Imus's show. I mean, Imus actually is a pretty funny guy. He actually was, but the show had no continuity. So
Dennis, spot on.
Just die and like holy shit! Now it's a commercial.
He would go to one of like 5 breaks on an hour. He had news, like a sports report, traffic, and these huge commercial breaks. And these commercial breaks were repellent to the listener. You would go to Howard, and he's in the middle of a really long snake, and you would never let go. And that's what would hook you. I think Imus lost a ton of listeners with that horrible, herky flow he had. And that's where Howard flourished, because he would take away, like, I'm not going to listen to it. I know you couldn't get comfortable. And Howard's on for 50 minutes talking to Richard Belzer or something. And that was.
All right. And am I moving on? Can I?
You can move on now. Yes.
Okay,
Look at
cool.
those
Hold
crazy
on.
eyes.
Let me just take off. Let me take off. Seahawks fan.
He's so handsome.
Yeah, well.
I like that Canada bump break.
Weekly program, Howard badgered celebrity guests until they finally responded to his often offbeat questions.
On a scale of 1 to 10, do you think I'm attractive?
I was going to bring my high school picture because I look like you in high school. I saw you for your high school picture, and we look alike. You look good.
Reviewers gave the Howard Stern interview high marks.
Bask in my glory, respect my total domination of the media. Basically, humble yourselves before me.
Meanwhile, the continued success of Stern's radio show brought him fame, fortune, a stack of complaints to the FCC, and the fines to go with them.
Every time my career would go to another high, when I went to number 1 in Los Angeles, New York, and Philadelphia, it was a triple header.
Quack.
Boom. Next day I get hit with fines. $600, $700, $800,000. Some pretty hefty fines.
The FCC levied a record $600,000 against Stern for a series of bits that included comments about masturbating to a picture of Aunt Jemima and Pee Wee Herman's arrest in an X-rated theater.
If Pee Wee Herman is masturbating in the theater and I get on the radio and I say, okay, Pee Wee Herman is masturbating in a theater, I think it's disgusting. I really do. I don't care that it's a porno theater. If I go into a theater, I expect to be able to sit there without this guy's gunk flying onto the back of my head. I think it's absurd. Why should I have to sit there while some pervert is doing this kind of thing? Is videotaped you could take
there was a
home,
gunk.
you could masturbate at home. Why are you masturbating in a movie theater? I dare to.
And now he has his own movie, The Millennium Towers.
I have a question. Is this still taken from the 2020 interview? Like, or did he actually get interviewed?
I have no idea what this is.
No, he wouldn't grant them interview permission for this, right? That they did.
No,
this is their own.
Probably 2020, yeah. But here's the other part, though. They leaving out of the fines. It was not against him. It was against Infinity Broadcasting, not Howard Stern. Howard Stern never ever paid a fine, nor was fined by.
That's a huge point. You can't beat
Never
that
was
to death
fined
enough.
by the FCC.
You can't say that enough. You can't, because he has painted himself as that First Amendment martyr in the way that he would have every fan, every rube thinking that came out of his pocket. Nothing ever came out. And like Monique said before, it was well worth it to the stations and Infinity and CBS to pay those fines for what he was bringing. It didn't mean shit. Compared to what he was making.
Yeah, total investment and write it off. That's no big deal.
It's part of doing business.
Yep.
That's exactly right. Part of doing business. All right, here we go.
Question. And I got socked with fines. The FCC baffles me. And the fact that no other broadcasters in this country have come to my aid is mind-blowing.
If I called up, 50 broadcasters and I said, send me $100 to go and put together a campaign for freedom of speech for broadcasting, they would send me the money. So it's not that they don't want freedom of speech or freedom of the press. What they don't want is to be associated with Howard Stern because they don't like his act.
Look how the media has shifted as a result of what I do.
Stern, however, does have the support of the people who matter most, his employers at Infinity Broadcasting.
There you go.
Howard Stern is important to Infinity because he generates millions of dollars in revenue and will generate millions more in the future. He is their main player, their number one, their feature. He's the franchise, so to speak.
The book has been banned in a lot of different places, and I think it's a lot of crap.
In October of 1993, Stern's first book, Private Parts, hit the stores. Part autobiography, part rambling discourse on the world in general. The book received good press. Reviewers liked its humor. It sold over 1 million hardcover copies.
No, because I asked him one day, I said, Howard, how do you measure what's funny? And he said, well, on the radio show, I played a Robin. She's my audience.
Yeah,
If it makes her
my
laugh, then
it's my
funny.
barometer too.
I don't even know what's funny. I don't
That's
say it to
everyone's
be funny.
barometer.
I just say it because it's in my head.
Stern's book signings attract a diverse group of fans, a fact which surprises the many people who stereotype Stern's fans as undesirables.
First time I had Howard at CNBC, an awful lot of people asked him.
It's so funny. Everybody in that audience is basically Tommy from Malden.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty.
And Tommy hates him now. Tommy is very cynical about it. Yeah.
So they said, it's all right, we'll just sit on the floor. And I looked down, and instead of a group that looks like it might be asked out of Port Authority.
Remember Dick Cavett on the show all the time?
I
don't know why. What does Dick Cavett have to do with anything?
Howard would have anybody that had talk
That's
shows
the
on.
thing. Everybody wants to make the Howard Stern listener some sort of weird liberal or freak or whatever. And over a period of time, one starts to realize that there seems to be bankers and homeless listening.
By the end of 1993, Howard Stern was a 39-year-old husband, father of 3 daughters, and a national radio star. His earnings for the year were estimated at $7.5 million.
1993.
Wow.
775,000.
That's not including the other shit, Monique.
Yeah,
that's not including That's not including the pay-per-view specials and the book sales. That's just K-Rock and Infinity.
Okay, let's see how much that is with inflation. Okay, it's 12.
No, it's not
is
double.
worth
It's triple.
13,582 in 2020. 7.5 million in 1993 is worth 13.582 in 2020.
That's crazy for radio at any point.
Fucking money for
Not
radio.
bad for an awkward kid from Long Island.
For shitty radio.
The poor cops, they're all broke, and all you do is read about $13 million in overtime. You meet these guys, they're making $30,000 a year.
This is Badge Bunny. This is the height of Badge Bunny.
The poor bastards have to sell coke just to make ends meet.
They got a hold up drug dealer.
I guarantee you what I'm doing is the Lord's work. I am absolutely making
No,
people
he's
live
not.
the most miserable part
Yeah,
of their
Monique.
life. That's the morning commute.
The making
Monique, you're right. That's 2020 retread. That was definitely from the old the Barbara Walters Hugh Downs 2020 special. That's that very So this is nothing he did here is voluntarily for this special.
That's exactly right. All right.
Scumbag. Howard Stern.
Mr.
Hell. Yeah, Mr. Hell.
With the mainstream success of his first book in 1993, Howard Stern became almost respectable. A dangerous situation for him.
Every time I see myself going, oh, I shouldn't say that. It's bad for my image. I go, what image? There's no image here, man. What am I doing? That's precisely why people like this show. You got to watch out for that. Don't become a star.
No.
Your whole life is a brand. You're so full of shit.
Media, Mr. Howard Stern.
Stern's pay-per-view special, the Miss Howard Stern New Year's Eve pageant, put to rest any speculation that he'd toned down his act. One reviewer called it the most disgusting couple of hours in the history of television. The show earned nearly $16 million.
$16 million.
Wow.
From what we hear, he gets 90% of it or something, and it's like split up through the rest thrown,
90%.
If he made 12, I mean, easily could have made $12 million on that deal. I mean, that's just disturbing. It was
Jesus Christ.
And this is in the early 90s.
An estimated $4 million.
Oh, did you hear that, Johnny?
That's what they estimate.
They're all broke.
I heard
it about $13 million in overtime.
Hold on.
You meet
I went
these guys,
back.
they're making $30,000
we
a year.
I just wanted to
getting shot at.
I just wanted to hear that.
The poor bastards have to sell coke just to make it.
Sorry, let me just go to it.
Do we know for a fact that was live?
A dangerous situation for
What?
him.
Every time
Do we know for a fact that special was live, or could they have pre-taped?
I go,
What special?
The New Year's Eve special.
Man. What am I doing?
I never even saw it. I have no idea.
People
It was live.
It was
You got
live.
to watch out for that.
It was a pay-per-view, right?
Yeah, it was live.
Doesn't mean it has to be
The king of all media, Mr. Howard Stern.
Stern's pay-per-view special, the Miss Howard Stern New Year's Eve pageant, put to rest any speculation that he'd toned down his act. One reviewer called it the most disgusting couple of hours in the history of television. The show earned nearly $16 million, and Howard Stern took home an estimated $4 million.
No,
I buy that.
I don't.
I'm set up for debate.
He
Yeah,
got 25% of the total.
No, he never does
For,
a deal.
for
With
an hour's worth of fucking work.
Dennis is right. That percentage is really low for Howard's.
For him, no bullshit.
Negotiations.
No, I think at the time, back then.
He didn't volunteer that information. They're guessing.
They were guessing.
I don't know who they're.
No, back then pay-per-view was way different. So that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I agree with you. But Todd, listen, you're talking to two of the most giant conspiracy theorists.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
I just work.
We're conspiratorial because we don't think he's crazy.
They get proven right.
The course of political history in New York State.
Look at
Blah, 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 blah.
In the fall of 1994, Howard Stern made headlines when he became the Libertarian Party candidate for governor of New York.
Ronnie.
When I am governor,
this is hilarious.
We are going to make sure that the libertarian point of view is heard in Albany.
He eventually withdrew from the race rather than disclose his earnings.
This is a fascinating
for all
era.
candidates.
I thought it was an excellent lampoon of how politics is run in this country. Everything that we did on the air, including talking about how I was going to behave at the press conferences. Robin, you tell me I'm a hero. I'll go, no. And then you say, we would plan everything out.
The same year, Stern became a hero when he saved a man from jumping off the George Washington Bridge in New York City. Stern kept the man on the phone until police could come and rescue him.
Through laughter. He knew I was the one man on the planet that could get him laughing.
Yes,
again.
baby.
That's why I believe.
Are they past the governor thing, or you think, or
Yeah, they
can we
already
just
passed
talk
it,
about that
yeah.
a little bit?
They just
I
talked
think
about it.
we should, I'm just wondering if they can circle back to. Okay, so they're probably over. I really think we should do a show on that. I have a audio on my YouTube channel that is nothing but Howard. It's a part of the governor thing, but it's when Howard dropped out of the race and why. So Benjamin likes to fixate on, and he's absolutely right. You could just check when you're running for that the money thing. They said, well, I didn't want to tell everybody what I was making, which he doesn't. But all you got to do is check a box that says over 150,000. What really happened is he lied about his address, and if that had gone, if he continued to run, he would get convicted of what's the actual charge on that?
I don't know.
Is it it's voter fraud because that was his voting address. It was fraudulently.
Politicians do that. They put
No. You don't do that. No, you don't.
You can't. It's a felony if you lie about your address.
If you lie where your address is.
Well, I mean, if it's like a blatant lie of what the address is versus using like your sister's address, like
that's a felony. You can't.
No, it's not.
You can't just use somebody's address. It has to be your home address.
No, people do it all the time. I've been reading
campaign fraud.
Crimes.
Azor says the charge is campaign fraud. That's a real term. Okay.
In 1995, Infinity decided to make good business to settle their fight with the FCC. Infinity paid $1.7 million to the U.S. Treasury, but admitted no wrongdoing. Soon afterwards, Howard Stern thrilled
that picture. That's what Dennis is talking about. Everybody thinks Howard's paying it, and they're writing it on the cover of the paper.
America Pageant Committee. Stern titled the book "Miss America."
I always thought Miss America.
He feels so right there.
Is that the address? 1050 West
Madison. Miss America and these beauty pageants thrown at the local community center as a goof. It was part of these funny little shows. I look like a Miss America that just had sex with.
Sorry, I just had to throw this up there because I knew I had read about it, and so I just wanted to throw it in there. So this senator, Josh Hawley, who owns a house in Virginia, used his sister's home as Missouri address, and that's where he voted. This was like a thing. Just this season, just this voting fucking season, that's what people were doing.
That's fraud. That is 100%. That's fraud.
Okay, but he's a congressman, and that's what he did. So I don't know.
There's no way around it. That's like dead people voting. That's fraud.
Missouri senator rallied against coastal elites in speeches. He sponsored litigation, blah, blah, blah. But a review of property records show that he basically used his fucking sister's address to vote. So that's all I'm saying. You know, that people are doing that kind of shit and getting away with it. That's all.
But there is a press conference. So just drilling him about his personal life, his salary, his dress, and the whole thing. It is phenomenal. It is fantastic. We need to do. Penny Crone was the star of this whole thing. She hammered him. He would not. Just the money part. It is such an underrated part. And it just says so much about the serial liar that he is and the con man, because it's all in there. Lying about the address, the salary thing, and he dropped out of the race. But it is something we really need to do. I really couldn't be more staunch on that.
Okay, I'm moving on.
Half the country, and I thought that it was fitting. When I looked at the picture, I said, "This should be the cover of my book." It's a disturbing-looking picture, and I look like a real.
Oh, he loves it.
Miss America.
In Miss America, the 41-year-old Stern revealed that he suffered from obsessive-compulsive disorder for almost 20 years.
No, he didn't.
Everyday acts
Here we
became complex
The one that
rituals.
let him avoid his kids and wife.
Keep coming in waves. And I'd go home sometimes. I'd be getting, I'd get dressed or something. Touch the side of a cabinet a certain way, pull the thing off the hanger a certain way.
Oh, he's such a fraud.
Man, this is really nutty. I just can't get rid of this.
Could you imagine touching a hanger in a certain way?
I can't believe I'm going to be stuck with it the rest of my life.
Stern overcame the disorder after he realized that his problem was psychological, not physical.
Right.
Stern says that he has been cured for several years.
Cured.
It didn't.
With everybody's back.
In the wake of the hoopla over Miss America, Stern announced that he'd finally signed a movie deal.
I'm really curious where this narrator got all of his information from.
From Howard.
Yeah, it really does sound like it comes directly from like a Buck Waldy.
It really does. It's so bad.
Interview here. It's really horrible. And it's not
so
thought out.
When you stepped away, they showed a cover of the Post, and it said Howard paid. What was it, Dennis? $4 million in what was it? What was the number in fines? So that's what the people's perception is, that they're painting him that Howard's paying this money.
He's the martyr, of
course. On the cover of the paper. Who wouldn't think that, though, right? If the Post is reporting like that on the cover.
The film will be based on his first book, Private Parts.
Oh my God.
Stern will play himself. Off the air, Stern
Only
is
27
famous
years
for
to
being
go.
just a regular guy. He lives in an affluent community on Long Island.
Famous for being just a regular guy. Really? Look at him.
Regular guy.
He's such a pretentious fuck.
Regular guy.
Island, and is the
He's such a
father of
dick.
3 daughters. He and his wife Allison have now been married for almost 20 years.
And I asked him one day, I said, Howard, you are the only 40-whatever-year-old guy that I know who's been married as long as you have, who's never cheated on his wife. How do you do that? How did that happen?
Really, Judith?
Dennis, you ever cheated on your wife?
Well, that was the
Dennis, you ever
narrative.
cheated on your wife?
That was the narrative, and which became
Can
the
you
movie.
imagine that
though, right?
Judith Regan said that? I mean,
Am I live? Am I
unbelievable.
on the air?
Any man in his 40s, he's the only one. Right?
Only one.
Only
Because
one.
Judith, I guess, has firsthand experience.
Yeah, Judith knows.
My mother would tell me. He said, my mother told me she would come here, she would take Allison and the kids, and I would lose everything. And he would never run that risk.
God, I love her.
In 1995, approximately 4 million listeners a week tuned into the Howard Stern Show. The program generated an estimated $22 million
Judith
in
is-
annual revenue.
Wow.
Stern earned approximately $12.5 million that year.
He's
Not
living
only
large.
has Howard Stern achieved more
George
than he
Magazine,
ever
Mike's
dreamed
favorite.
of as a boy on Long Island.
It was a
He has had a
JFK
dramatic
Juniors magazine.
JFK
right?
Junior,
medium
role
he has loved since childhood.
One of the things that Howard has done for radio is he's demonstrated the power of it.
He's the voice of our
Because we never.
usually bridled unconscious, or that it's fun to hear him say the thing that
By the way, there's not a single person they have interviewed whose voice has modulated either high or low or smiled or anything. Like
Or
there's a single human being who has shown any shred of emotion in this
energy.
entire.
There's no
All
energy.
sociopaths.
None.
Oh.
Zero.
Sidney Lou Who is right. How did Judith know if Howard was cheating or not? Right? And she's, from what I hear, the fucking Genovese construction of home wreckers herself. So if anyone,
number.
So,
You're right.
the thing is, I love the hubris of the a narrator that he showed how important radio is. Oh, you're right, because we never knew radio was important. That's correct. The world's never happened on radio. You're right. Absolutely. We never knew radio could be important.
God, I hate everything about this.
you wish
Fucking ridiculous.
you're too well behaved to say.
Certainly haven't seen or heard the last of Howard
at
Stern.
that.
In fact, I'd have to say that
Wow.
he's, in a lot of respects, at the top of his game right now.
People have said, well, who's the real guy then? And I think that the real guy is, we all have different facets of our personality. What you hear on the radio is really me. It's all my beliefs. It's
No, it
the
isn't.
things I feel. It's what I think is fun.
I'm going home. So are you guys.
Wow.
Attorney that has to be hired to defend the case.
Oh, that's it.
I thought it was-
Lisa Zepp, you've done it again.
I don't know. The airline cannot control a man out of control. The
Some of the-
stewardesses are not equipped to handle a guy.
Some of the
making
credits are interesting when you see who they thank.
Yeah.
So a lawyer
That's
reads
worth
this,
pausing on some of
I
that.
am upset for the other passengers. Now, who would even think of this? There are so many lawyers in this country who cannot make a living that they actually have to sit and dream up lawsuits. They're going to sue the airline.
Sure.
Our passengers were subjected to a man making duty, like the airline had this plan. Oh,
They
for
were
God's sake!
negligent.
The fuck was that?
I don't know. What
It
was
was,
that?
yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious who the narrator was. I'm sorry.
program-
I don't want to go back too much, but
You're
his
going
name-
back too much. There you go.
If
it's
Back.
nothing.
Come on, the airline cannot control.
So
a
Robert
man
Conrad?
out of control. The stewardesses are not equipped to handle
Go
a
to
guy
the
making
beginning.
duty in the first class.
of the credits.
So a
Yeah,
lawyer-
beginning. It's
a little
probably
bit.
like
I think it's immediately.
Right
It's
there, right there. Forward.
very quickly.
attorney that has to be hired to defend the case, and all the lawyers end up making money.
Yeah.
This is a big to do about nothing. Here is a guy. It's a nuisance.
I don't know if it's nothing.
Come on. The airline cannot control a man out of control. The stewardesses are not equipped to handle a guy making duty in the first class section.
Anybody that crazy?
So a lawyer reads this.
I don't know any of these
am
people.
upset for the other passengers. Now who?
You don't know
Aaron Brown.
Who the fuck is
Aaron Brown.
Aaron Brown.
Are you looking it up already?
Yes. Aaron Brown, journalist, Wikipedia. American
What about his
broadcaster.
IMDb?
Most
Didn't you
recognized.
do Limelight with Mary Ellen Cox?
He's mostly known for his
72 years
coverage
old.
of September 11th on CNN. Yeah, news and documentary Emmy Award winner for outstanding informational programming. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, so that's what we got on him. I don't know him at all.
It's in the chat. Just FYI.
And now these go to Netflix and Amazon have much edgier documentaries, and I wish they'd do a new one on Howard, unauthorized.
Oh, I feel like
that's long overdue.
I feel like we've seen this guy on CNN. Hold on, I'm going to show him what. I want to show you guys what he looks like. Hang on. Here we go. This guy. That's him.
That's an old picture of him. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's Aaron Brown.
Wow.
All right.
He looks as exciting as his voice is.
That was horrifically bland, boring.
I semi-remember that, and I semi-remember not watching the whole thing because it was all stuff I've seen before.
Wow.
This clip from this, clip from that, and like A&E putting it out there with some bumpers with Peter Graves. Yeah, it's just it was nothing. It was awful.
I was such a sycophant back then that I would suffer through stuff that was redundant, and I didn't care if there was a morsel of something new I could glean from.
I never saw that. I honest to God never saw that.
And I'm thinking I must have seen it because I was a big mark back in the day. Like even with the old Letterman appearances.
Yeah.
Never loved him on Letterman and thought he sucked, but like you just defended him and like, oh, it was good. You know, it was.
His Letterman appearances are massively overrated.
Yeah, they are. They are very, very bad.
They were never
like
good.
Letterman himself.
Never good.
Well, you guys did see it though in a way because Monique pointed out a large portion of that has been snipped from the 2020. Well, that 2020 interview he did was huge. Remember he did the Channel 7 thing on with Barbara Walters and Hugh Downs. A lot of that was cut from that, so that's why it looks familiar in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So Mackie Williams, I just want you to know that I agree with you. I think. Oh, I love this question. Do you all think that Howard had Jason Ellis fired? No. I don't.
Nah.
Jason Ellis had Jason Ellis fired because we have no listeners. You get fired.
But do you? On
I thought he had a decent fan base for the series.
His 15 minutes ended like a couple years ago. I mean,
how
seriously.
Do we qualify? How exactly do we know how many listeners? Maybe they couldn't get advertisers, but how do we know? I mean, really, how?
All right, is anybody talking about Jason Ellis anymore? Anybody? Show hands.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Wouldn't Ellis himself reveal what listeners he had? Wouldn't he have statistics to either brag or not about it? I'm sure. I don't know if they tell them shit, and maybe through Howard they don't tell them anything. He's just summarily dismissed. I think I saw him on Dr. Drew has a video podcast, and I somehow popped up and I got to it. It was 5 minutes left. I tried to call in, and he took calls. And Ellis thinks Howard could have gotten fired. He kind of implies it, and Drew, of course, is a fucking sycophant and says, "Well, Howard would want to have you on his podcast." No, he's threatened by everybody. If they're trying to they're trying to get marbles for this new Reese for Howard. It would make sense if they would clear out the likes of Ellis, and he becomes and maybe it's.
What are you paying at Jason Ellis? I mean, seriously.
I heard he was getting a lot, Dennis. I heard that he
what $20,000 a year. I mean, because that would be a lot for Jason Ellis.
Probably
talent.
6 figures.
In American money.
Yeah, probably because he has an audience. He's got a
obviously not.
Well, not broadcasting because people like him from like his fighting background and his.
But why did they say that he was fired? Like, why did Jason say he was fired? John, do you know?
He doesn't know. He doesn't.
No, they just said he's just gone. He's just gone.
You're just gone.
I don't. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if some people who maybe quite not as vocal as Jason is are actually let go this year. This is like a really bad year, I think, for everybody in that kind of business model that Sirius has, and so I could see them culling the fucking herd a little bit.
Oh, sure.
Sirius's business model. You mean the antiquated business model that no longer works in the modern world? That business model. You're right.
That could be too. That the podcast they're now dipping their toes into the fucking podcast world and somehow taking credit for Conan's podcast and Mark Maron.
Ridiculous.
Well, yeah, they just bought Stitcher, so that's and then I got an email from them the other day saying, all your favorite, well curated podcasts are all in one spot now, and it's like, who the fuck? In what world do you think that I would fucking pay?
Why do we need you? Right.
To curate podcasts
Yeah,
for
exactly.
me.
The whole point of podcasts is they're not curated.
It's exactly
Sirius as a company does not get modern broadcasting at all. I mean, it really does show they've taken a shitty Pandora and actually made it a bigger pile of shit. I mean, anything would be possible.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
You lose money with it. That is amazing.
Do you like your music pausing and cutting out and dropping out?
Good for you.
I'm serious. Have Pandora on Sirius.
Pandora sucks.
Fairway Maiden writes, shushers aren't free.
No. Just get Spotify.
To keep Marcy, you got to fire Jason Ellis. Anyone in the chat, do you guys listen to Jason Ellis? Seriously, I thought he had a decent audience. I don't listen to him. I'm not a fan necessarily. But
what channel was it even on? I don't even know.
Faction. I was on Faction.
Faction.
What number? I have no idea, but I just knew it was Faction.
Doodle924 writes, when I canceled Sirius, they begged me to stay, offering cheap per month deal, a new radio, and a package and a free stiletto without Wiggy. Oh, nice. So
yeah, but the funny thing is, like the free stiletto thing, it's like, who even needs that anymore?
You don't
like, who even needs this business model anymore?
No, you don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
Most of their revenue is really, I mean, a lot of, especially the equipment revenue, is getting generated from new car sales because they sell that to the car company. That your subscription that you get with your car when you buy it is not free. That was already, it's baked into the cost. You either pay for it outright or it's baked into the cost of the car. And and that model is going to end soon because the car companies are even realizing that they're putting Wi-Fi in cars.
I never got Sirius for free. I got it for like 3 months or something, and then a thing would start blinking saying your trial is over.
Yeah,
and
free,
pay for it, or you have a stupid fucking button that says Sirius on it now that nobody really wants. Like I don't want it.
Wants it.
And if you look at the trend, car companies are putting Wi-Fi in their cars. I mean, you don't need to have Sirius if you can have internet in your car. Because now you could just listen to anything that's on the internet that's not Sirius XM.
That's right.
I mean, and without having DJs interrupted or commercials. I mean, their model is really bad. I mean, it truly is. What?
Wow!
What the fuck? That was a poignant point.
Holy shit, Todd! That was a yawn like nothing I've ever heard.
God damn!
Oh, would I yawn?
Yeah, just a little bit. Holy shit!
I thought I was on mute.
Oh my god! I'm sorry.
It was like Rolly Massimino watching Tom Gray shoot free throws. Hey,
oh, it's terrible. I'm so sorry.
Stick It One has a good point. I think he's right about this, he or she. I thought the Faction Talk channels was completely made of Jason's show. Like he was the flagship show on that one channel. I thought so too. I thought he was the face of one of those channels. It's really Ellis had said to Drew and that he can't get on the Stern Show anymore. No matter how much he shows his penis, they actually will not return his calls. He can't. So he did do something to piss them off, and who's this? Fair. I have Lifetime, yeah, and so he's not in good stead with them. And Howard has done much worse behind the scenes. He'll never take accountability for these. He wants you to make you think that it's coming from Matt, whether it's Artie or Opie or whatever he's doing.
I don't think Howard has anything to do with Jason Ellis, though, John.
No, yeah,
I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
I think
I'm not saying no. I'll never say never on him. I've seen him do with Scott the engineer. He's done much worse.
No,
I don't.
Yeah, but those are personally attached to him.
He's like Jason Ellis' cock. There's no way he would want to get rid of that.
And that was years ago. I mean,
it might be an absorption of the Ellis show's salary and budget.
No.
There's to qualify keeping that motherfucker.
Wait.
It might be.
Go down to Mackie Williams. Wait, Mackie Williams. Look at that. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah,
Are you serious? Zoss raping? No.
Yeah, see Beth skit, which I love. See Beth skit. Can you explain? I'm not sure I got the full story. This Zoss raping has something to do with Ellis getting fired, and I don't know what. Does Zoss have is in control of some of the management where he can actually fire people? Because Ellis implied that to Stuttering John when he was on his podcast 6 months ago, whatever it was. Yes.
So Ross Zapin, according to Variety magazine, in October of last year, says SiriusXM has revamped its promotions and events and talent and industry-related teams in an effort to allow for greater focus and results in each area. The company's president and chief content officer, Scott Greenstein, announced in an internal memo sent to the company this week. The move sees Ross Zapin leading the company's Hollywood studios operations and brings together a single team. So he works out of LA.
There you go. That's where Ellis was. That's exactly right. So that's where Ellis was. There you go.
Led by Jared Fox. There you go. Led by Jared Fox and Jeff Zukowski.
Jared Fox.
You remember him, right, Monique? You remember Jared Fox?
Jared
Tim's
Fox.
assistant?
Yes.
Tim's former assistant.
Yes. All three will report to Greenstein. Considering that the combined companies produce more than 300 channels of content along with major live performances. Yeah, see, nothing to do with him. Nothing to fucking do with him.
No.
Nothing, Johnny.
So the funny thing is, how much how much extracurricular activity can Zoss Rapin now get in LA? Just say
lots. All right, so I'm kind of done with this. I do want to put something on for Mackie Williams because I thought it was actually pretty funny that he remembered this, and it kind of makes me laugh a little bit. So I do want to kind of end our show with it. Okay, so as far as what Stuttering John tweeted, who knows? And if it was Ross Zapin, that was his job. So yeah, maybe we don't know what goes on with a Jason Ellis. He kind of tends to talk off the cuff a little bit, and may have gotten people higher ups angry.
Like Bobo.
Who the fuck knows? But he was there for 12 years. He was there for 12 years, and it kind of took him by surprise, apparently.
Yeah.
So I guess WVU Seahawks fan, who are you? Please make yourself known. I need to know who you are. I'll be honest, I'd rather try to survive being trapped in a cage with a starved tiger for 5 minutes than ever watch that documentary on Howard. Never again.
I'm in agreement.
Yeah. Okay. G Canada's asking about Stuttering John's lawsuit. I have absolutely no idea.
I have a feeling it's not going well.
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently the court systems have been really, really slow because of COVID. So this may be one of those things they just shove on a back burner. I think that the letter, the strongly worded letter that Sirius rejoined him with in terms of what he was suing for, basically said, this is all bullshit. Oh, weren't they supposed to have some sort of conference call sometime in December, maybe?
With his lawyer.
So maybe it's coming up.
That'd be great.
So I'll try and follow up with John and see if we know anything about it. Yeah, it probably will be dismissed. Either that or they'll throw a very, very small nominal number at him.
They'll just pay for Orkin to come to his house.
And then unfortunately, the only truth of that is that because he'll probably be under an NDA at that point, he won't be able to tell anybody. But John can't help himself. Of course, he'll fucking big mouth it out there, right? So he'll definitely tell us what it was, or give it to you in blinks or stutters or something.
Give you the terms.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll know. I think. Okay, so Johnny, I know they want you to sing a song, so I want you to do that. But then I'm going to just end with something that's really silly that made me laugh last time we played it. So, okay, Johnny.
Okay, this is to our friend Biznik and all he's going through. This is Marky Mark's "Good Vibrations" sung in Ben Stern operatic voice. I'm not going to wig or rap. As you know, Todd was the star of Invincible with Greg Kinnear and Marky Mark, as he did all the football stand-in work. And Marky, don't call me Marky Mark Wahlberg on the set, right? Todd, what happens if you do?
You were asked to go home. and
that's an actual thing on a Mark Wahlberg movie.
That's very true. You were asked to go home. You were not allowed to call him Marky Mark. But no, that was this one day. I actually had a principal role, but that was left on the cutting room floor. Then they had to find a spot for me, but all good. But go ahead, have at it.
Okay, so just a brief. Okay, let me go.
I'm kind of angry and humiliated, but yet proud.
Go right ahead. Yes.
You know what? That's Arm's superpower. Anything that may have made you angry and or humiliated, he will keep in the back of his fucking brain just to whip out just that one moment where you think that he's forgotten it.
Well,
John
we'll see how it goes, and
yeah. All right, go Johnny. Go Dennis Booker.
It's such a good vibration. It's such a sweet sensation. Rhymes will groove you, and I'm here to prove to you that we can party on the positive side. A bump positive vibes. So come along for the ride. Come on. Make you feel rhythm. This is my occupation. So feel the vibration. Come on and feel the vibration. Come on and sweet sensation. It's such a sweet sensation.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, thank you.
You should be flattered.
Thank you.
It's a rare human that gets the Johnny song of fucking inducing.
We're all family, Todd. We're all family. Tom Price, Chuck Anderson, Dwayne McClain, Harold Prisley, Ed Pinckney, Kyle Lowry, Jay Wright, Rolly Massimino. We're all family.
Rolly Massimino.
No, I'm actually repping tomorrow, so it's okay.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, masks and everything. No big deal. Yeah, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate the effort, and just to give just for a second, if we don't make a mockery of this, but to the RG family, the R family, I posted a thread on this for those listening and who reached and touched and who know what was going on this week. Thank you so much. Thank you, Monique, for you retweeting that and then extending the reach, and for everybody that helped. It's going to help my daughter, and
it's all good. We love you, B.
Thank you.
And we are a family, and we are happy to be here for you always. So just know that, and we
I
love
appreciate
you.
that.
Yeah.
We love you to pieces, and that's the beauty of having just a little spot where people can go and just have some fun and have some chuckles, but also be a family and be a part of making everything okay, and everything will be okay, and you just take care of that baby girl, and we love you. And
man.
we will and
thank you.
let's just keep the show at that. We're going to end with
Perfect.
this stupidity, and because it makes me laugh. And love you, everybody. Thank you so much for participating in tonight's show. Thank you for just trucking on. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and we'll probably see you again next week.
Yes.
What's this
Good night,
song
guys.
about?
The song is about, it's called What Up With Youth, and it's about what's up with
Corey
youth in
Phil.
America today, gang violence, drugs, and that kind of thing, trying to make the world a better place.
Hey, I can relate to that for sure. Let me tell you something, man. I'm not kidding. I really think that's good for the youth, You wrote this yourself? Yeah. You wrote it yourself?
Wrote it and produced it.
Let's hear for Corey right now with the song. Let's all start dancing, baby. Go ahead, Corey.
I love how horrible this is. I wonder if I'll get like a copyright strike for playing a fucking Corey.
Oh my God.
Knowing Corey well.
This is so cringeworthy. I love everything about it. This is I think you played this on Stuttering John's show, actually.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
It was a soundtrack.
Wow. So there's all those girls there.
Yeah.
So there's all those girls there, and Howard runs over to the first guy he can grab.
Yep.
That's
his Midnight Oil, Blue Sky Mine.
With his real hair.
Yep.
Bald
Ice too.
If I work all day in the blue sky mine, there'll be food on the table.
See, I remember watching it and watching it. They're totally making fun of it. Like this wasn't like a.
Oh, Howard!
So wacky.
This is so
gay antics. You're not really gay.
Look, John. Look, John.
With you, what's up with you?
So horrible.
Corey Feldman's got an axe to grind with Howard right now.
This is the Haiti kid.
Why is there a midget?
Corey hates Howard now.
Oh my God! What an uncoordinated.
What's the Haiti kid from?
Look at this fucking.
Wow! There's a midget in a grass skirt. Yeah, that's awesome. So, how did Howard hide an entire shoulder-length hair underneath?
I don't know.
Cap? Oh my God! What?
He's like a fucking gangly Auschwitz fucking victim. Like, seriously, I can't even fucking imagine. Look at him.
There's no good physique he could have. There's no good look he could have.
No, nothing.
And he moves like a
disguises don't work.
He moves like a palsy patient. I mean, seriously. There is
This always makes me laugh, though.
When they played the Losers in that old band.
What?
I will always like music. I will always do my music. You're not going to stop me from doing my music.
Where do they get these freaks from, though? Seriously.
The Port Authority. Come on.
That's
Look at this idiot.
That's true.
Look at. Oh my God.
Gary looks utterly ridiculous.
By the way, there's nothing that has changed about Corey Feldman's dancing since this time. It's like 25 years have gone by.
Oh my God. What an actual. Oh my.
That's integrity.
Oh God.
Joe Cocker laughs at him. Holy shit.
Fuck. Corey, Michael Jackson wouldn't molest you with Tito's dick.
God, so horrible.
I'm embarrassed now watching it.
It's worse. This was a Howard Stern biography.
Well, hey, Corey,
Then you wonder why Corey Haim killed himself.
Oh my God, that's so horrible.
Different Corey, but yeah.
All right, just thought we'd end with that silliness.
Oh my God.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's all I got.
You
All right.
try getting that earworm out of your head after, by the way. As soon as we get off here, for the rest of the night and into tomorrow, you're going to be, what's up with you? What's up with you? Guaranteed you can't get rid of that earworm. I will always like music. I will always do music. You're not going to stop me from doing music. I love Corey's affirmations when they play the Losers.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you for being on tonight.
Wow.
Have a wonderful week. Stop talking. Have a wonderful weekend. And we're going to try and do a show next week. I know Bon Jovial has some sort of thing that he's worked on, some video.
Let's check in with him a little early though this time.
And remember, Monique, it's tomorrow where he is.
That's
no matter
exactly
what time today, it's always tomorrow.
It's always
he apparently has a little amuse-bouche for us to partake in once Howard is either talks about whether he's resigning or whatever is going to happen. Hopefully we'll have some sort of information next week on this, and then we'll do a show based on next week. We'll do a nice little weeks in review. So good night to Dennis, good night to Johnny, good night to Todd. I love you, and we will see you guys next week. Okay, have a great night.
Prius night.